game, fellas. The game is the important thing today. Play football, you've got to use the flanks and you've got to play fair.
In ruck, Alfie Steed takes the first ball, gets it down, drives towards centre half forward. Now Binky's playing at centre half forward. Mazurowski's got him. Wilson spins out of trouble, dishes it out to O'Loughlin, and on the left boot, O'Loughlin goes deep into the forward line. First man up, and underneath that for Central District was Heath Hopwood, who's just been in terrific form in recent weeks. 20-odd possessions from half-back last week against the Eagles. In a rare loss, I think the Bulldogs have only lost 3 this year. Geister feeds it out to Tyson Hayes, so they're going to run hard from defence, Central District. Great mark, Julian Waite, who was in sparkling form just a couple of weeks ago in the state game when South Australia trounced the Victorians. And wasn't that a sweet moment? Waite towards enough on push on Philippo. What's the umpire saying? He's allowed the mark. The Port Adelaide fans aren't happy, and Hicks takes the kick and distributes it out wide to McGowan. Now McGowan, fellas, was warming up running along the streets of Alberton earlier, so they're obviously not happy about the warm-up facilities here, Tim, at Port Adelaide.
Don't start stirring.
There we go. Started early and finish it late. Good attack on the balls. Both players went hard at that. Number 19 is Jared Illett, I think, Tim. Is that how we say his name?
I think it's pronounced Illett, and I think you might find that that's Mark Harwood, is it?
49?
Yeah, 19.
19 was...
is Mark Harwood.
Yep, 49 was Illett, who was in amongst that. Harwood was there also, wasn't he?
He certainly was. Good recruit for Port Adelaide, I think.
Well, you just wonder why he couldn't come to terms at South Adelaide. Great work, Clayton, just seized it out of the contest. Chris Gowans it was. You get it away. There's a free kick for Shorter McGowan, who's just slung out of the contest. The umpires don't miss those ones.
He's a good player, isn't he? Rick McGowan just keeps on keeping on. Uses his possessions well normally.
Well, he's used that one long, and ball now in dispute on the ground. Port Adelaide got numbers at the ball. That's Wilson, I think, under that. And just gets tossed to the ground.
Now, who are you tipping, Crossy, by the way?
Look, I actually called this game last year at the Adelaide Oval, and I went for Port. I thought, gee whiz, you can't go against the Magpies, and they got hammered. So I'm sitting on the fence today.
Well, they don't have a great record, Tim, against Port. Port Adelaide don't have a great record in recent times against Central.
Centrals will come out of defence. We'll get back to Tim in a moment. Well, there's a freak. No! Umpires let it go. Port desperate. Now finally, too high. Hopwood's got it. Attacks. Now Arnold. Arnold spreads it wide. Hicks is running for him. He's steady back there, isn't he? And his kick was, well, wasn't perhaps the greatest, but Gowans manages to take possession, then turns it over.
Great work, Clayton.
Steed will come back into attack. Just chips it in short. Bamford takes the mark.
Bamford came back and in the reserves last week and got best on ground. He's an important player when he's fit.
Looks inside 50. The kick, well, just cut out by Hicks. Got a hand to it. Some of the Port people looking for a free kick, and then the kick was eventually out of bounds on the full, and McGuinness. That was McGuinness. Yep.
I tell you, Clayton before turned that ball over. He just applied enough pressure on Gowan just to turn it over and force the error.
Certainly a desperate player, and it was a good turnover and gave an opportunity at goal. But Sam Philippo lining up at full forward today for Port Adelaide.
And Binky at centre half forward. So with no real ruckman other than Poole, Port Adelaide are going to find that he's going to work pretty hard today. We'll test his fitness, that's for sure. And this is Marty McKinnon playing on the wing today. Got it from Hicks. Distributes it wide now. It's not like Central. They've been playing up the corridor in recent weeks. Now today they're playing a little bit wide. That's Eilert or Illett. You'll just have to fix me up there, Tim. And we'll get Michael Parsons to check on that. Hey, couldn't quite take it. Marco, no, that's Gowans over the top. The cop one high from O'Loughlin. What the umpire say? Yep, he agrees. I'd make a good umpire. I don't know about a commentator.
Well, you would if you could run.
Fair point. Chris Gowan. Back it comes. Damien Hicks is really just picking up kicks at will. They'll need to just man up on him for a moment. Marty McKinney streaks away on the left boot, forces it out in front of Guinan Ford, who just didn't go there. Eilert thumps it forward. Good forward pressure by Central District, but Wilson was just terrific, wasn't he? That was young James, pushes it to the boundary line.
That was good work in the end, because it forward thrust by Centrals could have been dangerous. Then they had a nice open paddock in front of him, and he just got a boot to it to get it to the boundary.
As we go down to Michael Parsons. And
Yes, just having a look at the bench there. Murray Hamlin pretty lucky with the injury to Healy. He comes back on the bench after being dropped. Cowan, the improving Cowan. And first game of Ben Fitzner, 19-year-old, coming through the juniors, looking forward to his first league game.
It's Port taking it away from these 50-50 situations at the moment. Waite, well, turned it over, unfortunately. Gave the ball forward. And Bello doing his best over the ball, looking for a free kick. Through comes Fegert, just hammers it forward, as is the Port Adelaide way. Waite does the same thing, out of bounds on the wing on the far side of the ground. The crowd expressing their displeasure.
He's a thinker, Waite, Tim, isn't he?
Oh, look, his early career was just dogged with injury. He actually made his debut in 1993 in the second semi-final against the Eagles, and the Eagles won that particular game, and it's taken him such a long time to get consistent without injury and play footy.
James Gowans dishes it back now. This is McKinnon with the left footer, rakes one into the half-forward zone. From behind, Stevens despoils. Braden Lyle's got the job on Mark Stevens today. He's been dangerous. McDowell back to Archie. Another state representative who played pretty well in that match. Uses the ball very well, and Filippo came to the ball beautifully and took a finger tipper.
Very good mark by Filippo. That's a good start for him.
His confidence has been high. Watch, he kicked 9 goals in the last couple of weeks. McGuinness, who finds the ball at will.
Good switch.
Doesn't it? Very clever to Julian Waite. Gee, he had little support, but he straightens up. I like that about Port Adelaide today. They're playing right down the corridor, but that kick was 4, and underneath this one, Mazurowski marks. And he's got the job today, Tim, on Binky, and that'll be a tough one.
Certainly will, but just in the end, Julian Waite let himself down severely with that kick. Gave Mazurowski an easy possession.
Geister looking to give the ball, and that's Arnott just taking the ball across the line. Some suspicion, I thought, that Simon Arnott wasn't going to play.
Michael Parsons told us before the game, we'll need to check this, that Arnott wasn't playing.
Well, I reckon that's him out there.
That's him for sure. Michael, explain.
I made a mistake. I couldn't read my own writing.
Oh, well, yep. Having seen Michael's writing, you could believe that. Far side of the ground. Still haven't got a score. And Arnold just reaches over the top and lays it down. And the ball, well, it's heading towards the line again. McGuinness is hovering. James Gowans finally, Steinburner gets it back to McKinnon. Slams the ball on the boot. Bello got his man under the ball, and then off the right boot. Just got it towards the line. It's pretty tight early, let me tell you. Bello, another opportunity, just slaps it out, but over the line again.
I tell you what, Crossy, they're very conscious of the 2 Gowans boys today. Every time they go near the ball, they're buffeting them and really giving some attention. We go down to Michael Parsons and the Port Adelaide bench.
Port Adelaide bench there. Trent Orman-Allen, he'll be looking to come on and kick a few goals today. Fraser, third game back after breaking his thumb in the first one against the Bays. And Green also waiting his turn.
Great story for Green. We might hold it for when he comes on. He's been just a terrific player. Tim McKinnon is just finding so much of the ball early, and that's a beautiful kick to McArdle on the lead. He's very quick. Good hands and a beautiful kick.
Just going to say, I was waiting for the beautiful kick line from you, David. You're really impressed with the way he kicks.
This fellow is a textbook kicker. I like Smith in the Port Adelaide reserves. I reckon Memo, the Eagles, go and get that boy.
He reminds me of Peter Jonas when he started. Remember all the hair Peter Jonas had flying around? Correct. And the sort of awkward sort of style he had?
This fella, look at him, head down over the top of the ball. He kicks it a lot like Tony Lockett. Holds the ball down low, so there's not much of a drop. Leans forward, and when he kicks, his head's right over the top. He has copied Tony Lockett's kicking style. Now, you won't, and he's not much wobble. He just came up on that kick a bit.
His head was right up.
Yeah, head right up, wasn't it? Didn't follow through at all, so just when you give them a wrap, they let you down. Slater battles for it over the top of the ball, but look at the Port Adelaide defence, as mean as ever, forcing a bounce.
Well, Centrals are kicking into a slight breeze, I reckon, here at Alberton, just to the right of screen, as we see a reasonable crowd turning up for today's clash, but I think both sides can work the ball up and into the breeze without any trouble.
That wind, Tim's going just about straight across, and that's why the ball's been hugging the outer boundary line.
Well, under pressure, Port clears it. It's come back to Lyle, and he's found Wilson, and Wilson has plenty of space. Handballs it off. McGuinness quickly onto the boot, as is his knack. It comes over the back, spoiled. Hicks, he's done brilliantly so far. He can switch it to the far side, and they've got runners over there. Instead, he goes a little bit shorter to Steinburner. Through the middle of the ground, Steinburner, perhaps not the best option. Under pressure, Port manages to clear it. Clayton handballs it on the up. Now Bamford across the Steed. He's got plenty. He can run almost to the 50. He straightens it up and out in front and on the lead. No problems at all.
Mark Clayton again, fellas.
Harwood.
Clayton set it up.
Oh, sorry.
Clayton set it up. He did all the work from half back and set that one up.
Clayton and O'Loughlin.
Yep.
It was a great combination. Clayton got his fist to it, and then O'Loughlin a brilliant little handball just out into his path.
So Mark Harwood lines her up. First score of the afternoon. It's taken almost 10 minutes, but Port Adelaide has a major on the board.
So there's a lot to like, Tim, about Harwood and O'Loughlin, like in the combination. You said it there. But Clayton was the kid who started at half-back. Look at here, spoiled.
Just got his hand to it. Look at this handball.
Oh, that's clever.
Out into the path of Clayton again. That was very good. Then they ran it with handball. Good thing. Steedy here, I thought he could have hit Filippo, but he ignored it because he thought, no, I'll go into that dangerous corridor where Harwood had led, and that was a very good option and good vision in the end by Alfie Steed.
Harwood's going to be a difficult option for Geister today. Keep your eye on that one, Tim. As that unfolds, Harwood's been in pretty good form. He's kicked 3, I think, in the last couple of weeks. Arnold tried to force the ball forward, but well done the Rhino. Braden Lyle picks it up. Plenty of AFL experience there. Towards half forward, and it's a foot race. Martin McKinnon has the ball on the string today, taking the ground. That's holding the ball.
It's a fantastic
tackle, O'Loughlin.
Ball will have to come back to Ricky O'Loughlin, but that was real good pursuit, and then just pinned the arms and brought him to the floor.
I tell you what, that was great, wasn't it? McKinnon took him on, and O'Loughlin was up to the challenge. That is great football.
No, he's got the younger legs.
Lyle to young Jared Illett. Towards centre half forward, big pack up under this one.
Great,
big, great hands. You like this kid, don't you?
I've liked him for years.
Well, you're always critical of the Crows and the fact that they didn't use him and let him settle in, and I think that's still true today.
Look, it is. I mean, in AFL terms, there's probably games where you will play him and when you won't. And probably at this time of the year, if you choose not to, well, then fair enough.
Yep.
But I still think he is a valuable player on any AFL list because of what he just did then.
Well, he kicked the winning goal last Friday night against Norwood in the dying seconds of the match. A dribbler from 40 metres. What can he do with this one from 40? Doesn't need to dribble this one. Stays over. It was touched off the hands, was it? Yes, it was. Thanks, Crossy. And a point.
Well, he won't forgive himself for that. That's one of the cardinal sins, is kicking into the man on the mark, and he didn't really get onto the kick. You could see that by the way it come off the boot.
The entry that time, David, came from Jared Eilert, and again, I've looked after the details for you. Found out the pronunciation is Eilert, according to the Port bench.
He's like Jimmy Olsen, isn't he? The consummate cadet reporter, Michael Parsons. Thanks, Jimmy.
Pleasure.
And Damien Arnold, the first mark out on the far side, just tips it short to Bello, runner up in the best and fairest last year, and kicks it long, and coming from behind was O'Connor, just knocked it down. Port Adelaide defence been very strong thus far, reaching in and holding it in, and pinged for it was Fegan.
It's either mile off. Crossy, you called it correctly. Once he had dived on it and pulled it under, he had to try and get it out.
Well, Central's trying to move the ball fast, but they're being held up well at the moment, and they're being forced wide, and Bello has run into Lyle. Looking at the umpire. Oh, I didn't push him in the face, sir. Umpire says, yes, you did. So now they come away against Central's, another forward entry. The kick wasn't the best, and Port happy to escort it over the line. That was Archie over there.
Well, I don't know.
Comment, Tim Geneva.
That was terrible. That was terrible.
Well, by who? Player or umpire?
Umpire.
All right, comment, Tim Geneva. A little bit biased, you'd suspect, the Port Adelaide skipper.
Not our Timmy.
Arnold. Dow got him. He recovered it pretty well. Dow just slung him away. Now it's Wilson streaming away, delivering the ball towards centre forward Binky. From behind it was Mazurowski. Gathering it in was Brown, chips it in short. Alfie Steed out on the lead. Now he's a handful for Tyson Hay as well.
Absolutely. It was Bamford that got the possession. He started well, Bamford.
This fellow's an ignition Harwood man, and Harwood on the lead. I told you, Geister's going to have some trouble with him. He's too quick for Geister.
Look at David, I think you're right. What you've got to do now is look at your sheet and say, okay, who do we match up on him?
Now, Crossy, you had a comment.
No, I was just saying, I was just looking at the way Binky was moving through the half-forward line. It was full of run. He's doubled back and he had about 20 yards of space, but in the end they went for the option of Harwood.
Like a game of chess, isn't it? Because Binky actually created the space that Harwood ran into, and he'll kick for goal from about 40 metres out directly in front, and the kick's good. So Harwood's going pretty well. He's got 2 in the opening 14 minutes of this match.
Well, that was very good. The one thing I really liked was Tony Bamford front and centre. Very good roving. It's so important on a day like today. Here he goes, just bursting away. We've got him and Brown in the middle. I mean, and Alfie Steed working through there. Their midfield starts to look a little bit more dangerous. And you're right, David. They are paying some very close attention to the Gowans brothers.
And you watched Brown in the reserves, Tim. How did he come through that match?
Yeah, David type. He definitely had some touches and starting to look all right.
Well, Ryan O'Connor, did he look awkward or what then? Just perhaps challenged by gravity, couldn't get off the ground. As a result, finally, Slade, opportunity, hand passes out to Steinburner, belts it long, was collected, but the umpire said that's okay. And front and centre was Bello, and there's a Port player in there somewhere.
Islet, that is.
Islet.
I reckon, Crossy, that the great advantage Central have got today is they've got Luke Cowans and they've got Damon Arnold. I'd have them both out on the field. Port Adelaide today are really undermanned in the height department.
David, I'll take you up on that. I think Cowan's one of the most improved footballers in the league this year from what we've seen of him. And I'm surprised that he's sitting down on the bench.
We saw him a couple of weeks ago kick, what, 4 goals, didn't we, in the forward line?
Yes, I think it's a real option for Central Districts to just put him on, throw him in a forward pocket, and let him go to work.
Struggle to match up on him, Crossy, do you reckon?
Yeah, they will, but big crowd here. The Alberton faithful will be expecting something, and look, I think it's carried Port so far, but no, you're right. They'll struggle on the matchups if they get them right, you would think, with their height.
Well, I think Harwood's too quick for Geist. You've got to have some firepower at the other end. You just can't have the ball keep coming down and Port forwards kicking goals. You've just got to make them match up with you, and I reckon that's just one of the things that Central could do right now. Big fly was up and down Arnott, tried to get it out. Steinburner handballs along the ground, a bit of a grubber. Hine and Ford couldn't take control. Chris Gowans does. Handballs at forward, was James Gowans rather, correction. They look alike, don't they? Identical twins, I guess they should. And Clayton on the left boot. And underneath this one, Arnold playing the kick behind play. Now he plays on very quickly off to Cott, who's spent an eternity in the reserves, and he's a quality player, so he's had to earn his spot. Down it comes Figert, couldn't mark. Islet, Clayton, quick hands, very quick hands to Figert, who just keeps running this fellow. Reported last week, nothing seems to fluster him. Towards centre forward, Arnold's there, he had to go, and he didn't. And Filippo marked it on his chest.
That was, yeah, you called it correctly. He had to go, didn't fill in that hole, and that is the ruckman's job.
Now, Filippo's 60 metres out. His best kick would make the distance. What breeze is there, Tim?
Well, according to Michael Parsons, it's going right across the ground. So they have to go left post.
Likes his chances, lobs it deep, right on the line. It'll bounce off hands. A point. Rushed.
In the end, just didn't quite have enough distance on the kick, but he did kick it correctly towards that left post. It hardly ever deviated. It was a very good kick. Goal umpire Cam showing exactly what happened there.
Meanwhile, Central District, quick to move the ball from the back line. It's forward on the far side, just turns it around, looking into centre half forward into the corridor. He's got Arnott. And whether or not he was suspect before the game, he's out there. He's been held up by O'Connor, and the umpire says, come back here.
Look, he was unlucky, O'Connor, because Timmy had to hold him up. Arnott was off, and there were players streaming down, filtering off.
Well,
really,
it was a correct decision in the end by the umpire. Can't question it.
It was a professional one by O'Connor. He couldn't let him go.
Gee, it's a good kick in, wasn't it? The whole thing. Now they've got a mark and a set shot from perhaps 30 metres, but the whole kick-in strategy worked pretty well.
I reckon these two fellows, the twins, are going to be the key today. Port Adelaide can keep them under wraps, they can win.
Well, they're going to be, I think, conscious of just staying tight to their midfield, because that's where they've lost the last couple of clashes fairly heavily, because their midfield is dominated. So now it looks like Tony Brown's going to keep an eye on this particular Gowans brother, which is James, I think. And you know, Alf Steed's going to pick up Slade and Bello and just keep nice and close to them all.
Well, that's way off, and a minor score. Umpires confer, and yes, a minor score. Central's opening score, and it's taken 18.5 minutes.
Just not a lot of protection from that side. You really have to punch it in at the right-hand post to try and let it fade back.
What about this kid, an 18-year-old, Graham Johncock?
Well, plays very, very similar style of football to Byron Pickett, just straight through him, very, very hard at it.
Uses the ball pretty well. Looks off for O'Loughlin, who doesn't let him down, marks. Gee, there's a spring in this kid's step, isn't it?
He's improving.
He is. With every match, this fella, the kicker's good to Clayton, who's run downfield hard. And look, I like his instinct. His first instinct is to come back into the corridor. Look at this. And Binky's waiting for him. It's just a little quick for Mazurowski too, so...
He only needs half a yard. His hands are so good.
Very quick. And Clayton knew where as soon as Clayton turned, Binky headed off for the hole.
Yep.
He runs into a hole almost better than any other player I've seen.
Just taken a little bit too long to get this ball moving.
And Central have zoned up. It's very clever. They're not manning up. They're zoning up back there. So he goes for a big torp. It's come slewed off the boot. Big up and down. No mark taken there by Feagit. Crashing through. Gee, Hicks has been outstanding. Slade. Short grubber. And, well, Chris Gowns is disappointed he didn't take that one, but it was a pretty tough kick to take.
It was in the end, but look at the end. I think Binky just took too long to move it on, and when he should have just gone maybe the chip here to Clayton, on the other side he had Feagit, and they could have gone over the line.
O'Connor just takes it out of the ruck and just the ball bang forward, and that's just a little bit too easy as Bamford comes out and takes a mark, and he's got a runner inside
loose.
50. That's Clayton, and well, as you say, Tim, loose and just a little bit too easy at this stage for Port.
Well, Clayton's playing half back, and he's continuing to run down when Port Adelaide have got possession. And the way they took it from that boundary throw in was too easy. O'Connor does it time and time again.
For a half-back flanker, he averages better than a goal every 3 games.
Always a very accurate kick, David.
It's one way to put the mockers on him. Let's see how he goes. Umpire doesn't move. Timmy knows his man, and Mark Clayton knows how to kick goals. So Port adds its third. So 3-2-20 plays just the solitary behind at the moment.
Well, again, Bamford was involved in that play, but that's too easy. Arnold cannot allow O'Connor to get body to body with him, because he will win that every time and handball off. Bamford is a live wire at the moment. He's missed a lot of football. You can imagine he's fresh. That's a good thing. Kept his eye on what was happening behind him. Never turn your back on play.
Umpire Richard Williams bounces the ball in the middle. Poole thumps it wide. Bello just pushed off it by O'Loughlin. Clever work. Gives it out to Anthony Brown on the left boot. Forces it wide. Hopper with the spoils. Short to McKinnon. Well, I'd like to see his stats at quarter time. He is knocked up getting the ball in this first quarter. Towards centre forward, McCardle front position from Archie from behind. The big climb, he's had 6 kicks. Waite gets it off to Lyle. In turn, Wilson.
Here's Clayton again. He's loose with McGuinness.
McGuinness. Here goes Clayton. McGuinness did well just to draw the man. Clayton from 50 can go for goal. They'll lob it deep into the Filippo and Binky. Well, it was a raffle, wasn't it? Play on, says the umpire. No. What does he say? Yes.
You called it, mate. They had a grab each, I think.
They did.
They had a grab each.
And the umpire said 4 hands on the ball doesn't count. I can't play that mark, so let's have a look at it again. Filippo from behind. Binky controlled it, though. The umpire said no mark. Players converge on it. 14 is Damien Hicks. Just strides away. 7 kicks for him. Goes towards the boundary line. Relieves a little bit of pressure. We're 22 and a half minutes in the first term. It's a 19-point lead to the Magpies. And I think if you've been following Central's form in the last few weeks, you would have been worried with them coming down to Alberton. They haven't had great form. I think they've won 2 of their last 4. They got a belting last week to 24 points by the Eagles. And they really have struggled. Mazurowski was up and down, couldn't bring the ball with him. On the bottom of that pack was McGuinness. Chris Gowans, 21 for Central with him, strips the ball, and the umpire is forced to bounce.
Just be interesting at half-time to see what the scoreline is, because I just feel that this end of the ground is the scoring end today.
It's always a little bit hard to judge a match until half-time, I suppose. Just the sides work their way into it. It's Hicks. Well, that's touch number, I think probably 10, but he's only had the 7 kicks, was content to wander that one across the line. So they're under siege a bit, trailing by 19 points. Filippo comes over the back, snatched off the front by O'Loughlin, and he hasn't capitalised.
Hey, Tim, I reckon they made a change. Mazurowski's gone on to Harwood, and Geist has gone on to Binky.
Well, that mightn't be a bad move to start off with and just see how that goes in the second term, but gee, that was a good piece of work off the pack by John Cobb, wasn't it?
Tyson Hay from fullback takes the long option. Mazurowski was the target. O'Loughlin was up and down, brought the ball to ground. Bamford back to Binky, 1 step and bang, a long one. Who's there for Port Adelaide? No one. And underneath this one, Hay takes a good mark. Under a little bit of pressure from McGuinness. He forces the kick out wide, and the runner is big Damien Arnold. Did that pretty well, the big man. Forces it onto a little bit of space. Chris Gowan's the target. With him, Anthony Brown. just enough pressure. Steinburner back into the corridor, but look, the kick was wasted. And Bamford marks. Where's the option? He's on the outer wing. Goes towards centre-half forward. McDowell can body and go for the contest. No, from behind, the big fellas have a run at it. No mark taken. Wilson paddles it down cleverly. On it goes to Brown now. McGuinness 20, 50 metres out and closing a big high one towards the goal. Oh, he's kicked it. What a clever rover he is. And McGuinness gets his first. And the Magpie fellas are strolling away. It's a walk in the park at Alberton for the Maggies.
Well, it is only the first quarter, so you wouldn't want to be putting any money down on it just yet. But look, that was a bad turnover by Centrals on the outer side wing. Ended up coming inboard. Bamford is alive. He's been fantastic for Port Adelaide and got his hands on it and gave it to McGuinness. Well, if ever you want a player kicking a goal for your life, this would be one of them. He's just outstanding around the goals, just got such a great goal sense. And he knew he just had to lift this one up high, let the breeze carry it through.
Tim, as soon as McGuinness got his hands on the ball inside the 50, there was just a murmur of expectation from the Port Adelaide supporters. They're just ready for him to kick a goal.
Well, if we use a tennis analogy, I think it's just about one set love.
Yeah, that's a fair call too, isn't it? And gee, that Rafter Agassi game last night.
Yeah, but
I was thinking of that.
The difference, Crossy, this is a 6-1 first set.
All right.
It's not 6-4, it's not 7, it's not 6-6 and a tiebreaker. This is a 6-1 because Port Adelaide are dominating. They lead by 26 points at quarter time. They've done all the attacking and they've really whittled down some of the Central District top guns, Tim, and they've made them look second rate. The Bulldogs have struggled in the first quarter. Central District kicked against the breeze. It's a slight breeze at Alberton Oval. And Ryan O'Connor on screen in ruck in the first quarter has been sensational for Port Adelaide. He really has been able to be a driving force for them. And going forward, Brown gives it up. Clever work, James Gowans bounds away. Delivers the ball long towards centre half forward. Clayton front position from behind Mark Stevens. Now they've changed players on Clayton. Mark Stevens now got the job on him because Clayton, Tim, in the first quarter, Danny Stevens, correction, was devastating.
Yeah, you're right, David. And Danny Stevens is a very good player. And I think it's probably a good matchup, Clayton and him. They're very similar in their body strength and their
tough
and their speed.
So I'll watch this one with interest. I reckon Alistair Clarkson's got it right. And first blood of this quarter, and this man up goes to Danny Stevens. He's been in pretty good form after missing a lot of the early season.
Well, that was a very good mark in the end. It was very similar to one Binky took earlier in the game. But look, Brown just rushed his work there. He should have had a bit of a voice behind him saying, listen, you've got plenty of time, Tony. But ended up giving it up to James Gowans, who took off like a rabbit, kicked it into that dangerous sort of half corridor there. Stood his ground beautifully, Stevens, kept his head up and took the mark. And that in the end is a very, very good finish. Just swung back at the last minute.
Timmy, you must know this ground pretty well. Sitting down here, the flags at the southern end are going straight across. But once we walked out into the middle, then at quarter time, the wind does bend around the grandstand, and there's clearly an advantage to the end to which Centrals are now kicking.
Ryan O'Connor just edged around and just fooled his man with a bit of a fake. But in the end, Hicks gets it for Central District, takes it out of the centre, over the back. John Cock couldn't hold it. Now kicked forward by Centrals, and Feegit mops up at the back, just dribbles one towards the line. Alfie Steed intercepts it, quick hands off to Lyle. His kick is an absolute floater. Look out. Oh, what a mark!
And he
John
did.
Cock is away. Quick hand pass in front. O'Connor, an unlikely runner. He's got Wilson. Now there's one loose. Well, that was a sloppy hand pass, but it's cleaned up. Phillippo, chance, assesses off the left leg. Good kick. McDowell just sitting on his own, and Phillippo managed to get it to him, and now he's got one out in front of goals, and again, Binky takes the mark.
I bet you that one features in the highlight reel.
That was an absolutely classic mark, wasn't it, on the wing? And what happens there is if you do things like that, it can create what is another shot at goal, because he had eyes for the football only and took a fantastic mark. But I don't think Centrals will be happy with the way they didn't pick up then.
Timmy, that was a sensational mark. The ball was just floating around everywhere. Right in front of me as Binky kicks a goal, but that was just a sensational mark.
I tell you, in that passage of play, there were two absolute floaters, and the second one was a kick for goal.
Well, they're having a bit of a laugh about it now, but Binky's couple of kicks haven't come off the boot quite right. He got away with that one. But look at McGowan. He's going for the football. He's got eyes for it. And John Cox just stolen it from in front of him. And then it just ran down, and there was not enough picking up for mine. Too many loose men. McDowell just chipped across the binky and it was an easy shot at goal.
That mark and that kick for goal in the context of this match are going to be very important. I think we just saw how difficult it really was for Central in that first quarter to kick goals at that end, and Port Adelaide have got one in the opening 2 minutes. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether Central can keep mounting the challenge. Feagit gets it out the pool, in turn has Braden Lyle running. O'Connor, sorry. I keep saying that.
Don't you?
I've done that before. The Rhino, O'Connor. It's old age, Tim. Filippo from half forward. Now he's way too far out to score, and particularly against the Breeze, so he goes short over the top. Clever work by Wilson to run into the hole. Now this is where they'll need to set it up, Tim. What do? Do they run out and leave spaces?
I think they've got to get out. All those players that are in at the moment have got to run out and leave a little gap for Harwood.
Well, Filippo ran in and opened up a hole and just closed it off. So it's allowed the Central District defence just to go to the boundary. Now that's a pretty important clearing kick.
It was a good kick in the end. He had no real place to go, and that's gained a lot of meterage.
So centre wing, just waiting for the boundary umpire to catch up. Such was the kick out of defence. So ball to be thrown in. 26 points to lead for the Maggies. And Brown comes clear off the left leg, just goes long. Arnold will float over the back and takes the mark.
That's a good grab in the end. Has to do that more.
Another floating ball. Oh, that was pretty ordinary. Cotter, met, brought down. That's fortuitous for Central's. Arnold quickly, good vision. Steinburner, well, he's popped it up. He's going to bring rain with that. Slade, the unlikely jumper. And finally, well, it almost came free to Chris Gowans. A boot went in there from Marco Bello.
He held it. He could have kicked Feagit's head off if he'd have kicked it, but he just held the kick across here. You called it pretty well, but it was a half kick because he realised if he'd followed through, he'd have decapitated him.
Well, fortunately for Port Adelaide, he didn't. So, comes back to McKinnon. McKinnon goes inside 50 again with a long one, looking for the leapers. Coming down almost with the ball, McCardle. Now clearing to Bello. Bello up and under. Archie sitting under it. And coming the other way, it was that. Stevens. Well, in the end, through, rushed, one behind.
Well, Centrals are more alive, as you can see. Starting to get their hands on it, starting to attack into the forward line a bit more. It's going to be interesting to see whether Port Adelaide can run this ball up into the Breeze.
They've got a bit of a sniff, the Bulldogs. Now, I just sense we might have a game by half-time.
Oh, it's going to be a beauty, I reckon.
McGuinness into the Rhino, O'Connor. Quick hands was clever work to John Cotton. Needs support. Got it from the Rhino, who handballed it out. Hine and Ford stole it away. This will be a goal. Danny Stevens, steadies, bang. Well, he's got away from Clayton. Now, Clayton dominated the first quarter, but he's going to have to tighten up now. The scoreboard pressure is mounting on him, and Danny Stevens gets his second.
Well, you're right, but it was a bad turnover. I think one of the sort of cardinal sins is to go short inside your defensive 50, and that's what happened. Didn't hit the target, and they were put under pressure by good forward line pressure by Centrals, and it ended up with Danny Stevens, who did not miss. Good work by the forward line of Centrals.
I think Danny Stevens has played since round one, so he's had quite a while out of the league side.
I saw him at West Adelaide. He was really getting dejected, was frustrated that he couldn't play.
So the ball back in the middle, and O'Connor and Arnold just reached over O'Connor's head. It's play on now as Brown breaks from the centre, kicks up the full forward. From behind came the defenders, punched it away. Cotter, well, just indecisive. As a result, Central's under pressure at the back. Whoa, too high, surely. Yep.
What makes you say that?
That was Hicks.
Only a Port Adelaide man had asked that question.
Oh!
Yeah, there it is.
Thanks for that, Tim.
That's all right, mate.
Was it dubious free kick in your opinion, Tim?
I tell you what, Hicks doesn't know much about what's going on at the moment. He just handed it off. The ball goes long. Mazurowski gets under it. Now it's loose. Lyle gathers a crumb. Steinburner tracks it though. Taps it in front of him towards the line. Can he pick it up? He does well in the end. Bamford under pressure, or putting Steinburner under pressure, ties it up.
They certainly come out alive, those Centrals. Their tackling's far better now. They're getting to the man, you know, with much more pressure and more intensity, and it's causing a lot of turnover. So certainly are alive in this term.
McKinnon thumps it down. Eilert kick smothered by Chris Gowans, and the ball across the line out of play. We're just on 8 minutes into the second term. There is the Central District bench for Michael Parsons.
Yes, no need to comment there. There has not been an interchange today. Hamblin, Cowan and Fitzner waiting.
Thanks, Michael, for that. Another pack develops. Michael likes to see the interchange bench used.
Like the state game when we saw 44 changes from the Victorians, Donald McDonald.
It was almost boundary right to heaven, wasn't it, Michael?
A chance to get on TV.
That too. Big fly up O'Loughlin. We'll have to give him the stat for that ruck contest. James Gowns went hard. Steed, I think it is, on the bottom of that pack, isn't it?
It is.
Where else do you expect him?
Yeah. It's like a seagull looking for a chip, isn't he?
And he gets it more often than not.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be a fat seagull, wouldn't he? He really does find the ball, Alfie Steed. And you don't like to play favourites, but I don't know that I've ever seen him play a bad game, and I've never seen him pull out of a contest.
You certainly get your money's worth.
You do, no doubt. O'Loughlin slick work to Brown. Gee, they're clever, Port Adelaide, when they get in close. I think that is their great skill. They're very, very good in close.
Well, when they're not, they normally get beat, and pretty well. And that's where Central's definitely have had the advantage in the last 3 contests.
Well, I think they have to have been in recent years because they haven't had much league speed around the ground, Tim, and I guess in close is their game. And they're the masters of it, so you've called that pretty right. 33 plays 14, 19-point margin.
We'll certainly turn that around with some of the recruits. I think Tony Brown has been really quick, and you know, having Tony Bamford back on the side, he's got good leg speed as well. So
Wilson's come in, and O'Loughlin's come in, and Islet's quick,
and they help.
Over the top comes McKinnon now. It's interesting. They can't play 2 ruckmen in the middle, but what Centrals are trying to do around the ground is have one player come over the top of O'Connor. But McDowell's now got a mark inside the forward 50.
Well, that's fair enough too. I think that's a good move if they're going to do that, but make sure it gets to your players. But advantage of a quick kick then by McGuinness, your forwards have to be in front, and that's what McDowell was perfectly doing.
You see the eyes working there. He's just looking for an option perhaps, doesn't trust the distance. He's given it everything. It'll go right to the line. Fist down. Bamford's right at the front now. He looks short. Oh, he's put it up perhaps a little higher than what he wanted. Central's belted away. Finally, this will be an interesting contest, and just dribbled across the line and throw it in. Well, I wasn't quite sure that hadn't gone across on the full. Certainly, Phil McGuinness looked as if he was expecting a free kick. It was dribbled across by Gowans.
You've got to say, when James Gowans goes near a ball, he's instinctive. He knew he was under pressure, and he just went straight for the line.
So the ball again in dispute on the ground, and well, Connor was didn't have any problems about falling on somebody, shall we say.
I wouldn't want him falling on me, that's for sure. Look, it's you say about instinctive. I mean, most good players have got that, haven't they, David? They know what's around them, and they know what to do quickly.
He certainly does that. Poole locks arms with Arnold. Marco Bello steals it away, tries to handball it out. Wilson gets there, but Bello just pushed it towards the line. Bustling work by Bello. He did pretty well. Wilson claimed in the tackle. Play on, says the umpire. Bello thrown away. We're not in possession. Will he pick up a free kick? No, the umpire had already said he'll have a bounce. 19 points to margin, 11.5 minutes into the second term. A real arm wrestle here. Central, after being out of it and gone at quarter time, have shown some great character to just get their way back into this match. Poole wins down the ruck contest. Arnott for Central turns it around the corner. Julian Waite just uses his body strength beautifully on James Gowans. Gowans goes to ground. Now it's John Cock opposed to Chris Gowans. Islet at the back and over the top John Cock. But umpire Williams will bounce. Port Adelaide fans love this.
They're 2 really good sides that, you know, being desperate, and they tackle well, and they're really intense at the football, and it's just great to watch games like that.
As Ian Mogridge has something for us, our stats man.
Yes, it's interesting to note that the opposing ruckman here, Damien Arnold and Ryan O'Connor, are the respective leading possession winners for their sides.
And a couple of people come over the top for Central and just belt it towards the line. That's what I was talking about. That's what they're trying to do to nullify O'Connor's effect on the game. And both the ruckmen, they almost didn't get there for the throw-in. They were just absorbed in testing each other's strength. The tight contest, Bello's going to get it just inside the line, and he's belted over the line by Lyle.
That'll come back for a throw-in.
It was just over the line before anything happened.
How have you seen Braden Lyle's game today, Tim?
Pretty good so far. He's got to pick up the ruck rovers, which are the Gowans brothers, when they rest, and I think he's done a reasonable job.
Port moving to block those who might come over the top, and McKinnon that time got blocked by John Cox. So Port's awake to what's happening. Now McKinnon's got it, just belts it onto the left leg. Central's, what has it been? About 3 minutes of just working the ball along this grandstand flank.
Well, it's going to have to be like that. It's going to be a tight contest. It's going to be hard and in close, and that's where you're going to win the game. and they've lifted in this term in those departments.
Inside 50 is starting to improve for Central too, fellas, by the way.
Yeah. Pending interchange 2 for Centrals, which brings the boundary liner into play. Ben Fitzner coming on for his first run in league footy to replace Rick McGowan.
Thanks, Michael.
That's a bag.
Well, comment Tim Genevieve, you're dead right about that one. Feagit will just relieve a little bit of pressure. Got a good shepherd. Now the opportunity for O'Loughlin. Run down by Chris Gowans. Has to hurry the kick, pushes it into a little bit of space. Binky first man there, controls it. Dishes out the handball to Alfie Steed. Oh, that was slick. Well done, Alf. Filippo, clever work. Now it's Bamford running hard, delivering it short, and over the top it goes. You're right about Braden Lyle's game today. He's been pretty good. The kick was poor. I think that is an area where he's let himself down. McDowell got one high, thought he got a free kick but played on. Turns it around the corner, looking for the goals. Turned it a little too far.
Bounce.
Steinburner right on the last line of defence, over the top to Mazurowski. And Cotter starting to run now and find his pace at this level. Dishes it out to Hicks. So Hicks has inboard, McKinnon calling for it. But with the breeze at his back, I'm sure he'll take the long option. He just needs a big man to get under the contest. But no, he goes short. McKinnon ran into the hole, plays on, back into the corridor. Good discipline towards centre half forward. Where's McArdle? Back there was big Ryan O'Connor.
McArdle's where he's been for a couple of weeks now, right under the ball.
Clayton, thanks Michael. Julian Waite. I thought his state game, Tim, was just terrific. Stamped himself as a quality player.
Good point.
And, well, where were the big fellows? Binky just couldn't get back to the contest, and Arnold marks.
Not an ordinary kick, wasn't it? Just coming off the boot badly.
That breeze is pretty strong, though, Cross. I reckon stronger than we've given it credit for.
Bello, the contest won again by Port. I thought that was handed off in the end by Lyle, but he got away with it. That was a better hand pass. Now Wilson, he's got McDowell just over his head, and Hopwood comes back the other way, and he's held and gone. Well, Steed got to him first, and Steed wants that ball. Give it, give it, give it.
He's
There's
a dog
the seagull with the chip.
Dog with a bone. Seagull with a chip. Footballer with attitude.
And just into the middle, Wait. Bello closes on him, just enough to hold him up. Did well then.
Use Archie wide if he's got the vision. No.
Doesn't go that way. Instead, he goes long. And Arnold's at the back and comes over and belts it forward. Steinburner gathers. Then the hand pass to Cotter. Gets it away from that defensive area. Ford probably advantaged by that kick. In the end, it's gathered at the front. Whoop. Kick just offline. Bello. Might have been Fitzner. Bello now off to Stevens. Goal number 3 for Stevens, surely. Closes on and kicks a goal. Valuable one for Centrals. Against the run of play, perhaps, but they've finally broken into the open.
Well, I reckon that all happened around about centre half back. There was only sort of one person that was front and centre, and I reckon it was Steinburner.
Yep.
And he was the only one that got in front of it.
Dead right, Tim.
Caused the ball to come out, and the turnover was perfect. And Bello, that one-on-one grab on Waite wasn't easy, and he did it very, very well for a small man and set up the goal. An easy one for Stevens, his 3rd in a row.
3 kicks, 3 goals for Stevens. I think last week he got 3 and he only had 6 kicks. So he certainly makes his possessions count.
They've got John Cock on him now.
13 points the difference. I think they've had to make the change. Clayton delivers it to O'Connor. Dishes it out wide. The runner is Wilson. Wilson, where's the lead coming from full forward? Decides to go long and one-on-one in the square, but back there dropping underneath it was Hicks, who dishes out a handball to Steinburner. They've just switched it around the boundary line. McArdle's having a run downfield, fellas, and Binky is just having to man up on him. And McKinnon. Well, who's winning that one? O'Loughlin or McKinnon?
It's been a good battle, hasn't it? Probably McKinnon's getting on top.
McGuinness just about to come off for a rest as well.
Thanks, Michael. Feagit, fingertipper, couldn't quite take it. Eilert, Lyle, Feagit. Short was good vision. Alfie Steed, he just keeps running this kid. His switch of players pretty good too.
Shepherd, Michael.
Archie, yep.
James, I should say.
James shepherded. That was Wilson.
Orman Allen walks onto the ground from the interchange bench, gets a touch.
Thanks, Michael. We wonder where he came from. Geister misses it. McDowell can step into the goal, steps around, has a bounce, and handballs off. Did it beautifully. Filippo on the left boot finishes it off. Filippo gets his first this afternoon. He's now got 10 goals in 2.5 games of footy. He's been in pretty good form in the forward line.
Well, that was well run up the ground in the end, similar to what Centrals did in the last goal. And little Buzz Aldrin here just got it off easily. to set up the goal in the end. But some good work done up the middle of the ground here. Alfie Steve, when he switched play, you knew they were going to have an opportunity to do this. And it was pretty unlucky for Geister as well. Might have been given a free kick there.
Filippo just finishing the work. He's had 8 possessions in the game so far. And Port Adelaide back handy margin, 19 points at the moment. And the 2 ruckmen
See that?
just going around each other at the moment. Ball forward, punched clear, well roved. There's McDowell again.
He's been good.
And on this side of the ground, Wilson's just run up and down the wing, and he's getting a few touches, and he goes off to his left leg. And that's a pretty good kick. No, just too far short of Ormond Allen, who gathers it anyway. Now Tony Brown off his right leg, puts it up in front. And, well, the lead came from Bamford. He couldn't take the mark. Now it's on the ground. Well, they just look more desperate, Port Adelaide, at the moment. Crashing in came Bamford. Now, well, it was a throw, it looked like, from Harwood. McDowell finally got it. And just a little kick out to the side. And Wilson's just been going up and down the wing. Now he's got a shot at goal.
He's causing them some trouble, Crossy. You're right. And I reckon they had Simon Arnott on him to begin with this term. And I might have to look at that if Arnott's not right. I can see he's moved into the middle of the ground and Julian Waite's picking him up. So it'll just be interesting to see who lines up.
James Gowans has got him, I reckon.
Well, his 15th possession.
15 possessions. And, well,
he passed it.
out, is it, in the end? Out of bounds. So
only a former Port Adelaide captain would make that. He passed it.
Yeah, no, that was terrible, wasn't it?
so he's had enough possessions for both he and his brother at the moment, because his brother's had a knee reconstruction.
Yes.
Michael Wilson. So
It's McDowell. We're back there, but
he's been busy in the forward line too, McDowell, hasn't he?
I keep thinking about McDowell and Scotty Hahn's transfer to West Adelaide, because I don't think you can play them both.
They're similar players, aren't they? You're right.
And I reckon McDowell's been pretty good. But I liked Hahn and what he did for Port Adelaide, but obviously didn't think he had a future here. And there's Clayton. That is clever. He's kicked his second. A halfback flanker who gets you a couple of goals in a game is a pretty valuable commodity. But he had a couple kicked on him at the other end earlier, so he's just squaring up the ledger.
Well, you're right, and he is such a valuable player. And like I said, such an accurate kick for goal. When he gets it, he kicks it straight through. You watch the leg, just right, lifted it high. There's no fear of that missing. A very good goal, but I'm interested in the next ruck contest, and Michael Parts will keep an eye on this. O'Connor just wants to create a boundary throw-in type situation by getting his body in on Arnold straight away.
And that time's the first time we've actually seen Arnold run and try and jump.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there was a penalty for early entry into the square.
another opportunity. That's Eilert. Just running the ball. Gowans closes him down. Unlucky. Got away. His kick. Well, that's spectacular. McDowell again. Half pike and a twist mid-air. Took the mark. And just puts it out in front of the lead. Ball punched away by the defenders. Slade, it was on the ground. Now hit hard. And McDowell comes back with the ball, and that was Ormond Allen who hit McKinnon hard. And McDowell, well, got to kind of think that might have been a free kick, arguably, for Filippo too, but in the end it's rushed for a behind. And now Port Adelaide has the Bulldogs really on the back foot.
I'll tell you what, there is some very good work being done by McDowell up there. They're going to have to do something about getting onto him, because he is really creating anything in the forward line, making it his.
So had 7 possessions this quarter. Was running amok. McKinnon playing well for the Bulldogs. Towards the outer side, Kynan forward was up and down. Oh, James Gowan's gone in the shoulder. He caught one in the pack there and he's gone. He's had a crook shoulder for a couple of weeks and he really felt the impact as the pack came crashing through. We might get you a replay of that. Bang. Thiegat got him right on that crook shoulder and he knew he was in trouble early. And now Anthony Brown just on 50, drills it. And Alfie Steed has marked about 35 metres out on a slight angle, and he'll push the ball from right to left. Keep your eye on James Gowans, fellas.
Yeah, you're right. He copped it right on the AC, I reckon. And he's just holding it now. And that makes it hard when you get that, just that sharp pain goes through your arm. It's like pins and needles straight away. Very hard to lift it back up.
I've done 2 shoulders, and they are the worst injuries. You can't sleep, you can't cough, you can't shower. I won't tell you the other things you can't do. And Steed Well, he went from right to left, as I thought, but just didn't go quite far enough right.
Ended up with a little bit of a hook on his kick, but just have a look at this as they clash. Bang. I reckon
He got a double banger.
There was even
kind of
probably
Ford got him, and
yeah.
Feegit followed through, so he got the cannon in off the white.
Brave, though, what he did, going back into the pack.
He's
Probably unnecessary in the end.
He's
'cause Ford
courageous.
was
Like
there.
you think about blokes with a bit of zeal, and we've talked about Alfie, Steed and Clayton. You could put Gowans in that category too, fellas.
They're both like that.
Steinburner breaks from defence for Centrals. The long kick, Wait, he was in front, but couldn't take the mark. That's good work from the Gowans boys, and James in trouble again, but he gets it across to Chris Gowans. His kick forward, well, McArdle should have taken it. Now he's gone to ground, so is John Cock.
That's holding the ball. That is holding the ball.
Umpire
That is fair to
had a
hold
good
the
look at it, and there it is, gone.
God, he took his time.
I think he waited till he heard you.
Oh, for crying out loud. He drags it in here. Here it is. Here's the error. Drag it in. Hold it in now. You've got to get it out. You drag it in. You have to get it out. The onus is on you. And the other players knew, and they just made sure he couldn't get it out. He was gone.
Well, Corey Archie got in there as well,
yeah,
and that's where they try
Archie
and
was
bluff the umpire.
He was a fair bit to blame, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Archie would have been better off to bowl him over, upend him.
Have a look who's having a shot.
Yep, Stevens shooting for his 4th in the term. And he's happy with the result. Another goal to Centrals. That won't please the Port crowd, but let me tell you, I think the free kick was there, Tim.
Oh, look, no question of it. I sort of do blame Archie and that coming in over the top and holding it in underneath as well. They should have just slapped it out the back. And in the end, it was an easy shot for Danny Stevens to kick his 4th once again. So he's been a live wire up there, and he's certainly created what Centrals needed this term.
A couple of quick interchanges. Cowans gets his first run in the ruck for Centrals. Arnold sits down, and McGowan comes on for Chris Cowans, who just will ice up that shoulder, no doubt.
No doubt. Now, O'Connor will have his hands full as Cowans drags the ball out of the contest. They'll run fresh legs at him, you'd suspect, from here on in. As Fitzner delivers it long and low. Mazurowski's gone to the forward line, fellas. They just couldn't cover him in defence. He was going nowhere. And the kick is very good from John Cock. Out to Bamford. A little one to Ryan O'Connor, who used his body pretty well. Looks like a blonde version of John Nichols, O'Connor. Got that same size and build, hasn't he? I reckon the same size shorts.
Yes. They were white to bring back the drive-ins.
Yes. Thanks, Tim. And Wilson. This is James Wilson. Binky jostles for position. They've put the more athletic McArdle on him. I reckon that's a good move, actually. Because McArdle was going nowhere in the forward line. They've switched Mazurowski and McArdle as James Wilson gives it out to Bamford. Great handball. Tim applauds it. And this is the man who can do some damage when he's got the ball in his hand, Trent Orman-Allen. Now, what match was it, Tim, that he kicked 10 earlier in the year?
I just heard a call there. Look, he did kick 10, and I think that was one of the early rounds against Donnell, was it? Good leg.
Oh, and that is a terrific kick. Just a great kick. There's a mark right on the line to Binky. Is it or isn't it?
It didn't carry.
He's played on.
Oh, hang on. The umpire's going to say it carried.
So it's a point. So it did carry, and it's a point to Orman-Allen.
Very difficult to get a goal from there, and he gave it as good a kick, I think, as just about anybody could.
Steinburner brings it back in short. McKinnon, as is his way, goes to the left leg immediately and playing on. Goes for Cotter, finds him. Cotter breaks. Goes in long through the corridor. And Ford comes and meets it. He stopped the ball, but he didn't get the mark. And now it's stolen by Feegit, and away he goes. Port back on the charge. McGuinness, he's got one short. Oh, it wasn't the best of kicks for Philippo. In fact, it was terrible. And towards the line, and chance for Centrals to clean up. Just kicked along the ground by Geister out of bounds. Real opportunity missed there.
Yeah, you're right. The only excuse I can give is Phil McGuinness just coming back on the ground for Bamford and missed his target comprehensively.
Okay, in fact, it was tapped along the ground. Never mind. Now it's back closer to the wing, closer to the main grandstand. And it's just been taken over the line there by Fitzner in his first game.
He's athletic, isn't he?
What a first game to start with. Port at Alberton.
But that's Port Adelaide's way, Tim, isn't it? You throw your best juniors in the toughest games.
Yeah, absolutely. Good idea.
I think you go back over the years and you think of the kids that you've blooded. They've always played in the big games.
I can remember poor old Tregenza's first couple of games. Oh. That was a bit of a baptism of fire for the young man, but certainly kicked on.
Now, Michael said Chris Gowans had come off, but I'm sure it's James with the shoulder, and yet he's still out there.
Yeah, Chris is off though, you're right.
So, down forward from behind, the ball comes to the ground. Archie will be first back there, and the siren will beat them all.
So it's a 22-point margin as we go into half-time. As the umpire holds the ball aloft for the second half. If you've just joined us, Port Adelaide lead by 22 points after leading by 26 points at quarter time. Danny Stevens kicked 4 goals in the second quarter to just help Central District edge back Alfie Steed. Very, very clever work. Gets it out to Anthony Brown, who's been terrific in the first half. Push and shove contest in that contest. It was Harwood and Geister, and the ball across the line and out of play.
Well, David, I believe if Port Adelaide can get, say, 4 or 5 up on their lead already, that they could just about set this game up. Central's, on the other hand, if they have a real dogged quarter, and pardon the pun, with Port Adelaide, they could set themselves up for a victory.
Chris Gowans gets it down to Hicks, who had the ball held to him by Filippo. The umpire says, I'll bounce. You're pretty right in that assessment. I think Central District's plan this quarter will be to go to the boundary line and just stop Port Adelaide getting a run on and hope to use the breeze in the last quarter.
Look, if they're within 3, you'd have to say that they're in the box.
A real chance, aren't they? Binky went up and down, didn't bring the ball with him. Chris Gowans was claimed in a bare tackle by O'Connor. And again, this will work for Centrals. They're just going to try and slow the game down and make sure that Port Adelaide don't get those 2 or 3 goals you're talking. Now, what about that? Down at Richmond Oval, West trailing South by 7 points. And we might just congratulate Ron Bettridge, who's umpiring his 200th game at the West-South match. Crossy?
Yeah, and Sturt surprising Norwood, up by 17 points at the moment. And this match is stepping up a bit. We go into the second half. Away comes O'Loughlin with the ball, gets it forward. And, well, Geister just got the better of his man, got Harwood out of the way, and then slammed the ball over the line when he maybe could have taken a mark, Tim.
He's just one of those classic defenders, and it's, you know, I'm going to have my man and I'm going to beat that man no matter what. And if it means getting a possession, he doesn't care. Just thump it out of bounds.
He did just that. Now, Arnold probably got the better. Well, he certainly got the ball to where he wanted, whether or not O'Connor had a hand on it. Now it's, well, awful kick. Well, it's managed to stay in play. I thought off the boot that Hopwood was kicking that out in the full.
Just went above the grandstand, and I reckon the breeze just grabbed it a little bit and held it in.
What's the ruling? If the ball goes out of play and then bounces back in, is it in or out? What's your decision?
You just see the bench sitting there, fellas. Darren Fraser hasn't had a run yet. Phil McGuinness coming off for a bit of a break. David Green still very fresh, hasn't been on the ground.
Thanks, Michael. I think you saved an embarrassing question for Timmy there. As O'Connor, as is his way, feeds out a hand pass. It goes nowhere, and eventually across the boundary line.
Do you want to have a crack at answering that one, Crossy?
I actually think it's out of bounds in the full, isn't it?
What do you reckon, Crossy?
Well, look, I don't know the exact rule, but I'd say it's play on.
All of the ball has to be over all of the line.
Exactly. Thank you, Michael Parsons. A little one for those of you at home. If the entire ball is out, it's out, even if it blows back in. Loose ball, Hopwood crashes it down. McArdle goes after it, claimed in the tackle, gets the handball away. Clever work to Hopwood, who delivers it short. Out underneath this one is Simon Arnott, who was rumoured before the match not to be playing, but he's out there. This is James Gowans. We're troubled by a shoulder, I believe, and a bit of poor eyesight because he didn't lift the eyes. Went right down the throat of Fegert, who delivered it out to James Wilson, who's been terrific in the first half, Tim.
Very, very good. One of Port's better players, and I'm glad he just stopped in his tracks then because he wasn't balanced with his kick as he was when he did deliver it then. Into
the corridor goes to Alfie Steed, who punches one towards Julian Waite. 2-on-1 in the contest, concedes a little bit of ground. He needed to, frankly, because there was all sorts of trouble. Clayton got it from Eilert, and towards centre forward, McArdle's been a good match on Binky. Just nudges him out of it. Turning around the corner was Brown, and just kicks a point.
They're certainly making some early thrusts at the goal, but you do want to get rewarded for your efforts, and Port Adelaide would like to steady up with one soon.
Port Adelaide by 23 points. We just have a look there what the goal umpire was seeing. Pretty straightforward decision. 4 minutes into the second half, 23 points the margin. Oh, well, you don't want that. Just slipped as he kicked it. It was Tyson Hay, and as a result, it's gone straight to John Cock, and he's going to have a shot from, he'll probably kick from 45 metres.
Yeah, it's Ricky O'Loughlin.
Apologies.
And I tell you what, that is just one of the real unfortunate things in footy that can happen, and it's landed in his lap.
O'Loughlin lines it up. And this will really hurt Centrals. And he's just faded it away and brought it back and hit the post. Ricky O'Loughlin, just not accurate enough.
It's interesting you say that, Crossy, but he's one of those rare players that's kicked 50 goals as a rookie, as a junior, in under 50 games. He's played 37 games, kicked 50 goals, which means he is very clever at the early stages of his career. McArdle gives it off to McKinnon. McKinnon was very good first half. Fergit's been pretty good today too. Has conceded nothing at centre half back. O'Loughlin went through, went without it. Binky was clever, out to O'Connor in turn. Here comes John Cock from 50, right on the point of the line. Whoa!
That's a good kick.
I like that. And so to the Port Adelaide crowd as John Cock gets his first.
Yeah, he should have had it before.
That's a career highlight. That's his first goal ever, and you won't get too many better first goals in your league career than that one.
Well, that was a beauty. There was some very, very quick hands from Binky and O'Connor to get that there. And when he got hold of it, he knew that they needed a goal, and he really just drove it home. And for such a young man, I'm really impressed with him as a player. Goal umpire Cam making no mistake.
Interesting too. It just shows you that breeze. Just help that kick, just maybe another 10 metres perhaps further, once you get the timing right. Central's out of the middle. McGowan, ball comes loose, and he was shaken up by that tackle. James Gowans just paddles it forward. Finally, it comes to Arnott from 50 metres for Centrals. He's not going to make that distance, but over the back, good mark. Danny Stevens. Has anybody else kicked a goal? The answer is no. All the Centrals' goals have come from this man. He just got rid of Clayton and took a good mark.
Well, I'll tell you what, as we said in the half-time break, he has been the only one looking dangerous up there. He's just going to continue it.
Right post.
Great kick.
Yeah, as he kicked it too, I noticed Ford's coming off the ground, Michael.
Yes, replaced by Mazurowski. Ford's been reasonably quiet today. Mazurowski got the run around by Binky early. Be interesting to see where he lines up now. He's heading down to the forward line.
Well, this still keeps Centrals in the picture. Just keep working hard. Good work in the end just to push the ball forward. That was young Fitzner. And then the one-on-one contest, Danny Stevens did very, very well to get rid of Mark Clayton last minute.
Now, Ian Mogridge has an interesting stat about Danny Stevens' kicks.
He's only had 5 kicks today, and as you can see, 5 goals straight.
Value for touches.
Value for touches is right. McGowan, where's he been today? 56 plays 32, 24 points the margin. Brown to O'Loughlin, turning it around the corner. Harwood manhandles his direct opponent and gives away the free kick to Hay.
Well, he earned the front position and earned the free kick.
Seized it, didn't he? McKinnon has been running pretty strongly all day, delivers it out wide. Arnold, well, he's not the quickest thing going around. Gathers it in, concedes the ground. Hicks, who's been very, very clever in the first half of this match, delivers it wide. Now that's James Gowans. At left shoulder, heavily strapped. He copped a very heavy knock, but he's tough as nails, this kid. McKinnon's calling for an inboard. He ignores that. He says, give me a big fella, give me something to kick to. And there's nothing coming at him, by the way. No, he didn't deviate off his line, so there's no play on call there. The good thing about him, he just demands somebody present themselves, and it's not a bad thing. Fitzner races away with it. McKinnon on the non-preferred right boot. Got
that's a mistake.
very little distance at all. Wilson paddled it down. Arnott's over the top of it, head down. Fitzner comes through. Lyle dragged him out of the contest, which was very clever. Eilert gives it back to Fegan in turn. Julian Waite, a big handball over the top. Poor one. James Gowans crashes through, but off the boot of Fegan. Julian Waite, correction, and out of play.
Just feel James Gowans, he's starting to get his hand on the ball, starting to work it. He's the danger that'll get Centrals back into this contest.
So knocked over the back, and Ricky McGowan just went without it. He hasn't had too many touches today. He's been under pressure when he has had the ball. And busting through came John Cock and opened it up for Port Adelaide. Great hand pass. O'Loughlin was on the end of it. Lyle's inboard. A lot of space in front of Braden Lyle as he breaks, kicks long. And coming from the back was Orman Allen. Recovers it better. Well, brought down. Good tackle by Hicks. It still comes forward, no chance for Steed. And Steinburner just takes it across the line. And the Port Adelaide faithful wanted a free kick there.
Well, they might have been entitled to a couple.
Well, certainly wasn't one there. That was good work. Alfie Steed just being held up that little bit.
Slightly impeded, wasn't he? Only ever so slight.
I think the umpires are paying the obvious, though, and I think we should applaud them for that, yeah. I agree with that. Well, Fitzner, I like the look of this rangy runner. First game, he's been pretty impressive. Gives it off to McKinnon on that left boot. Drills one short and low. Out on the lead and doing it pretty well is Mazurowski. And that's Mazurowski, it was, right in the middle of the field. Gives it off Marco Bello, who was troubled with a broken thumb early in the year, but he's carrying the ball pretty well now. Push and shove contest, but Slade roves it on the left, turns it around the corner to the goals. I think he's kicked it. Other than Danny Stevens, he's the first man for Central District to kick a goal. They need more contributors on their forward line.
Well, he was there, front and centre when the ball was spoiled, and that's where you have to be. And it's just maintain Central's. Like I said, if they're within 3, they will have a real crack at this game because they are a side that can run out a game, and they really can be a part of it. Just the one kick and the one mark today and 5 handballs, but in the end,
not enough for a little fella.
Well, if you can turn it around in the half and win a game for your side, then you've made up for it.
So there we go, margin 19 points, ball back in the middle. Centrals, well, they've probably had the better of the second half takeaways from the centre breaks. Steed puts his head down. You would have seen some of that in the State of Origin. He just put his head down and tried to barge through.
Yeah, well, he's not got the body weight of a Jonah Luma or anything like that, but he certainly will give you your effort. And it's going to be one in this middle. And you can see that the intensity's lifted in the Central's midfield.
Ball bounced, and Arnold came over the top, belted it forward, and a rangy McKinnon gets to the ball first, then loses his feet, tries to hammer it off the ground, doesn't succeed. Braden Lyle comes clear. His kick, well, sits up a bit, and Hopwood smashed into the back of Harwood. And Harwood was able to take the mark, and as Tim said, a good strong one. Hands in front of the eyes. Now he goes short, and, well, hasn't been paid the mark. Tony Brown. Now it comes clear McArdle. Hand pass back to Steinburner. His chip pass comes with Hopwood.
Is that 10?
Central's trying to set it up. Steed. Well, he comes in, bangs it away. Now he goes after McKinnon. Central's working with the hands, though. Now Bello. He'll want to come back, and he does, onto his left leg. Kicks it up, and, well, too easy in the end. Corey Archie takes the defensive mark for Port Adelaide.
Just astounds me that players don't know left-footers. Always go back to the left foot. Just run at their hips on their left side. They will never get away from you.
It's a fair point. What's going on?
50 metres.
Well, yeah, he just crept over the mark. Did Stevens, trying to stop the play on, and as a result they pulled him back 25, which meant they couldn't come this side of the ground.
Bello from behind. Thiegat, Bello stolen away. A pickpocket. Got clear. Gives it forward. Danny Stevens. Mazurowski slipped. He was claimed. Elfie got him. Well done, Elf. And Danny Stevens, 5 on the board. Turned just one too far left. And under it, Archie marks inside the line. That breeze is very strong, Tim.
Well, that was a great effort, too, by Alfie Steed to turn over that ball, because they could have ran that right up to the goal square.
Wilson to Eilert, clever kick forward. Hicks was caught behind Filippo.
Important mark.
In front. It was an important mark, wasn't it?
He had 4 around him.
We're 13 minutes into the third quarter, and it's a 19-point lead to Port Adelaide as Braden Lyle pushes it up. McArdle's used his body beautifully in this second and third quarters. McKinnon just looked a little property then. McArdle, clever work back to Steinburner under pressure from O'Connor. Got the handball forward. He can't outmuscle O'Connor, that's for sure. The big man took front position. Mazurowski needs support. Oh! Nearly killed Chris Gowans. The ball flicks out. Running hard at it is Bamford on the left boot. Short. Yep. McDowell. Can he play on? Oh, he got around Hay too easily. All too easy. And deep into the pocket it goes. Big fly up and down. No mark taken. And goal on the board to Port Adelaide. Tim, what do you reckon? As Anthony Brown puts it through. Arnold couldn't quite get there. Bustled out of it. And Brown finishes off beautifully for Port Adelaide.
Well, that is an important goal for Port Adelaide. I think they've got to have a 6-goal lead at three-quarter time because Centrals are a dangerous side. I think that's just a blatant mistake by Arnold. If I was Alistair Clarkson, I would be most disappointed with my ruckman behind play not taking that. There wasn't a lot of pressure on. He should have grabbed that, and that is an easy goal for Tony Brown in the end.
Central District averaging 100 points a game, and they're not quite up to that rating at the moment. Port Adelaide, on the other hand, averaging 111. They're about on the par at the moment. And they've got control, a measure of control at the moment. As well, both ruckmen didn't get first dibs on the ball. In the end, it comes clear for Centrals. Mazurowski's under the ball. Thiegat struggling with him. Thiegat, trying to kick it forward, just couldn't get to it. Waite does. Waite goes wide, out of bounds.
Crossy, you reckon Port Adelaide will get to 111 points in this game?
Well, I suppose they've got to kick into the breeze in the final quarter, don't they?
That's what I'm saying. I reckon they're below par, and I reckon Central District defence have been pretty good, and they've had a couple of passengers, I can tell you.
Yeah, I think you're right with the defence comment, but probably Port's forward lines looked more dangerous than Central's in this low-scoring contest.
You take Hicks out of and McCarville in the second and third quarters out of Central District's defence, and I reckon a few blokes have had their colours lowered back there today. Opportunity for Waite. Drills it in close. Now, this is where Port Adelaide just cut you up. Have a look. There's plenty of run from defence. Clayton's one of them, but there are 3 or 4 options, and Binky comes out on the lead. When they run it hard from defence, Port Adelaide are probably one of the best teams in the competition. Now, Binky can kick this. He's only 50 metres out, a prodigious kick.
Now, you talk about playing on. Now, he went to play on, didn't he?
He didn't deviate off the line. That's the definition. If he deviates off the line, the umpire plays call on. He didn't.
Well, I reckon he squared up and looked at deviate.
He did. Yeah, but looking doesn't count. And goals do. And Binky, he's down with a hammy by the look of it. He doesn't look well.
Let's have a look at that up.
Well, he's got some problems. I'm not sure what they are, but he's calling for a trainer. But either way, he's got the goal, and Port Adelaide now enjoy a 31-point lead. What's he got?
Well, he didn't look to pull up quickly. That's a really good kick. But then he has gone to the hammy.
He's gone to the hammy.
He's gone. Yeah.
Bad news.
Well, he's moving around.
Might be just a strain. But either way, they'd be better off to get him off now and ice him down.
I think you're right, because if it is tight, the very next movement under pressure, you probably will tear it.
Well, he's staying on the ground. Arnold just taps it into the path of Chris Gowans. And he chased down. Great chase by Brown. But still it comes back to Port. Fitzner closing on goal and away to the left-hand side. Just the minor score.
Well, they're certainly making some attacks inside 50 Centrals, but none of them are looking dangerous. That one was never going to be a goal.
I'll tell you the things that I've observed about Central today. They've got no physicality on their forward line. They don't.
Which is unusual for them.
Yeah, they're normally very, very physical. They're hard and at you. Today, they've been as soft as I've ever seen in their forward line. There's not been one test of strength, will, or body. And I reckon Alistair Clarkson, that'll be the thing he'll come out of today most disappointed with. As John Cock goes to the far side, Arnold up and down. Rhino, O'Connor to Braden Lyle to the boundary line. Now he's blanketed McGowan beautifully for a fair part of this match.
Well, he's had the Gowans brothers as well resting on him, so he's
had the big guns, hasn't he?
He's picked up the midfield rotation and done very well.
Well, they share the ball aground again, and now Lyle boots it. Look out, here comes Ormond Allen, does a forward roll. Well, he didn't take the mark, he's back up, look out. Trying to feed out to his runners. McKinnon was under and looked a high tackle initially. The umpire calls for the ball. Ormond Allen. Whew. Have a look at this.
Watch this, he goes right over.
And he ducked his head. He did the right thing, didn't he?
He knew where he was going and was able to curl up into a forward roll.
He's probably got up that high, more than once. If it was me, never experienced it. Wouldn't know what to do.
Gravitationally challenged him. The ball comes back. Port gets another entry into the 50. Out comes Geister. Crash. Geister, well done.
Yeah,
now Steinberger, and they feed off McKinnon. He's got another forward-looking hand pass running through the middle. Well, Gowans didn't deliver that like he wanted, but it still comes to Arnott. He gets the ball forward, just puts it up in front of goal, 50 metres or so out. Now the kick forward. Chance for Arnott. He's running down there, and the ball will get out of bounds.
They are still...
Binky's coming off.
Yeah, good call too. I think it's important that he does. Otherwise, he will tear it.
That's a good common sense approach, isn't it? You're 30 points up and you're pretty much in control of the game. You don't want to risk him unless you have to.
They've got McGuinness on. I'm just wondering about their makeup. They've got Filippo, centre-half forward, Ormond Allen, maybe Harwood. Yeah,
Harwood's pretty good.
Yeah, fair enough.
He plays tall, doesn't he?
It's reasonable. Yeah, I think he plays tall enough.
A little bit of confusion back there as they look at McGuinness, who's standing out here 50 metres by himself, and they're just reorganising their back half, Central District, trying to get a better matchup than Sam McCardle going across to McGuinness.
Yeah, Hop would have picked.
Good call, Crossy. O'Connor pushes it down the throat of Eilert. Gowans steals away with it, and Danny Stevens had the kick smothered. I think that's his first kick, and that's his second kick that wasn't a goal.
Good pressure by Steed again. Just does those 1%ers so well, the tackling and the smothering and just getting in under the packs.
2 issues with Central today. They played wide for most of the day, which they played the corridor in the last 2 seasons. The only side I think has been as good has been the Eagles, and their physicality has been missing. And Kynan Ford, see, at that point you've just got to clean up Archie. You might give away a free kick, but you injure him, you slow him down. There's just nothing. Oh, the kick, Marco Bello played in front.
What did I say in the second quarter about going short in defensive 50?
Yep.
You don't do it.
Get the runner out, Tim.
I tell
Didn't
you
quite, quite catch that, but the reaction time of Bello, as soon as Archie went back and looked like he was going to kick it, Bello was on the bike.
In his 50th game for Central District, Marco Bello gets his 58th goal. No, he misses.
Oh, that's a bad miss.
Bad miss. He's kicked 10 goals, 6 for the year.
That's a real bad miss. That's the goal that keeps you in touch.
Get you back into it.
Yeah, it just keeps you in touch. And, you know, I said they need to be within 3 at three-quarter time. That's the one that gets you around that mark. So that's a valuable miss for Centrals.
A lot of responsibility on this lad going back, John Cock.
It is, but he's actually a very, very good kick.
18, as I said,
I don't think he's missed the mark yet, Neil, in any...
he's got
Very powerful, though, for them.
He's got a back line which has got 43 games experience, and 33 of those games have been played by one player in Corey Archie. So it goes down the wing, and Central's another possession.
Now there's the difference. There was always a mark on. Clayton takes him out. Goes bang. It's nothing big, but it's a difference between Kynan Ford at one end and Mark Clayton at the other.
Well, he certainly slowed up the game. And now the Gowans boys working together. James onto the left leg. Just tries to put it out in front of a player. It comes to that player in Arnott, perhaps fortuitously. Now Bello working hard on the boundary, dancing and trying to, well, eventually got a right boot to the ball, trying to get to his left foot. Maziarowski's over the ball now. He's under a lot of pressure. Ryan O'Connor's trying to get to it. Danny Stevens, eventually Bello! And he belts it home. Well, they're in this game.
Almost.
Well, that certainly makes up for the one he missed. It's just good hard work in the end to just bulldoze the ball forward with numbers. And they always look dangerous, just pushing it forward. Eventually something was going to happen. And it was good work. Mazarowski's just trying, pushing forward. O'Connor's looking tired to me. I just reckon that they probably need to give him a break, and I don't know who you put in there.
Time to bring Arnold into centre forward Cowans and really run hard at Pull. You could nearly finish him off. And I don't know if they've got anyone other than Feegert that can go in ruck, Tim, when it's all said and done.
See Norman Allen do it.
Where was Spinagle today? He was in the reserves, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
O'Connor dishes it out to Filippo. Now, Filippo could ruck if he had to. They need his height. Wilson, James type, turns it around the corner. McGuinness roves it. Hopwood, claimed by Harwood, slung away. Steinburner hasn't been terrible today. Alfie Steed got him. McArdle, well, he didn't want to take possession at all, did he? Play on, says the umpire, as he goes towards the boundary line. McDowell paddles it in towards McGuinness. One step, gets the kick around the corner, but it's plucked off by James Gowans. Needs support, gets it in the form of McArdle. Just lost his footing, now chips it over the top. Where's he going? McKinnon, bang! It was always going to be dangerous. Clayton to O'Connor, and look at this, Steed underneath this 2-on-1. Oh, they love him here. He caught one and wore it beautifully. Alfie Steed, and from 50 you'll go back and have a shot for goal. No, he won't. He'll feed it off. Look at 2-on-1 out there in the contest. And finally the mark taken by Tony Brown, who will shoot for goal. Well, he's got one already this term, 1 goal, 1 in only his 12th game for the club. Been a pretty good recruit. 24-year-old left footer, and on the breeze it just hits the post.
Well, that is a pretty important goal as well for Port Adelaide. They want to maintain a good 5 or 6 goal lead, and this one just swinging late. Didn't really get onto it. It wasn't much of a drop punt, and let down some good work that was done around half forward area, and a good mark by Alfie Steed.
I've just been down to the rooms to check on Brian Binky, as we suspected. A hamstring strain, but as he said, there's not much there, Mike. I'll be right for the Crows next week.
Just those updates, you're just looking there. Sturt by 24 at Unley over Norwood. That's a big one. And Westie's now back in front over South Adelaide by 5 points at the Richmond Oval, and of course the Eagles beating Glenelg quite easily, 39 points at the moment.
And Alfie Steed comes off with blood streaming from behind his ear.
Well, that's obviously why he was scratching his head after he took that mark at centre-half forward. So Steinburner finally brings the ball back into play, goes short and under pressure. Anybody's ball, Brown. Well, Centrals appear to be holding it in. The umpire says, though, he'll have it. That was lucky, Tim.
Well, then again, just that short one in defence is so dangerous to a 50-50 contest.
Yeah, it's got to be on, and it wasn't on. A couple of Port players over the top. O'Connor, though, another hand pass. McGuinness, who else would get the ball to boot that quickly? But unfortunately, it's turned over. Steinburner out of defence, just pressured into a kick that perhaps he didn't want to do. He aims for the boundary, he doesn't get that far. Eilert opposed to Bello. Both players with a hand on the ball. And it won't please the Port faithful, but really, both players had a hand on the ball.
Oh, look, that was a good decision. Definitely have to bounce it. Just impressed with young Eilert. First time I've seen him, he keeps his feet. He doesn't fall over easily. He's got very good hands under pressure.
In only his fifth game, Jared Eilert is certainly showing a bit of good form. The umpire calls for another bounce. Ryan O'Connor's had 24 handballs, fellas. 3 kicks.
I'd probably just give him a few minutes in this term while I've got it left to go down to full forward and let Orman Allen do the ruck work.
Well, he does seem to, yeah, that's a fair point. Orman Allen has rucked at AFL level before, the little 3'2" goal. Fraser, deep into the pocket. Harwood pushed across the line by Hay. It's a fair point you made, Tim, about Orman Allen, who would ruck if O'Connor needed to go off.
Oh, look, I think he's got the leaping ability to do it, even if it is just for a space of 5 to 7 minutes.
Filippo took the ruck work in the forward line. Steinburner's really come into the game this quarter. We might check with Ian Mockridge his stats. As Marco Bello marks.
Nathan Steinburner, 18 possessions, 6 in this quarter.
Yeah, I thought he was picking up plenty of the ball. Thanks for that, Moggy. And O'Connor just had a bit of a fumble. Hopwood through. Turns it around the corner, pushed it into a little bit of space. Arnott's there, can play on, he can go inside 50 and chip it short. He does exactly that, and out on the lead, Stevens is marked. And from there, Tim, you'll tell us how hard it is to kick.
Well, it is on today because that breeze is just pushing straight across him from the bowling green there. He'd have to really start it out towards that right post and just hope that it can just find its line and go through the middle of the goals. It's a difficult kick, but he's kicked well today, so you'd back him in.
He'll need to punch it. He didn't do that. He actually drifted it. It was the wrong kick for the moment. With the breeze, he needed to just punch it in hard at the right post, but he drifted it up.
Yeah, you're right. Just O'Connor, you know, the ball got away from him too easily then. That's just a sign of fatigue. I just reckon he's needing a break desperately.
You're right there, Tim. I've just been watching him since that competition on the wing. He's managed to walk about 10 metres, had 2 drinks and done a lot of puffing.
Well, Centrals, Hamlin, I think it was, scrambled to kick inside 50 again. Good bounce. Mazurowski didn't want to take a kick. Handballed it off, put his player under pressure. Centrals, though, managed to retain control somehow. McKinnon, he'll go with the right leg, under pressure. Jams it on. Will it come around? Will it make the distance? Over the back, it's a goal, I think. Well, it is. That's valuable, Tim.
Oh, that's very valuable in the time on. They are invaluable goals, and Centrals just keep themselves alive. And I said they need to be within 3, and they are exactly that before 3/4 time. And this was a, you know, as far as Port Adelaide concerned, too easy a goal. There's a couple of efforts to try and get back there and touch that, and it was left to Archie on his own one-on-one. And a very good goal by Martin McKinnon.
And Ryan O'Connor's huffing and puffing in front of the coaches' benches and done exactly what he's wanted. He's going to move down to full forward. Orman Allen onto the ball.
Well done, as Wilson handballs out to Orman Allen. In turn, McGuinness running hard, chips it in short, cutting it off was Tyson Hay. The target was Filippo. Kick just didn't have quite enough carry on it, or more importantly, Hay read it beautifully. Lyle crashes Scowens to the ground. Good contest at the back there was Wilson, forcing it forward, but the ball was already out of play. There's a free kick, says the umpire. What's going on here? Brown's copped one, and the umpire's seen the infringement, and he has given him a free kick. We are just on 29 minutes into the third term. The Bulldogs have got back within 18 points, a figure that Tim Ginniver suggests is within striking distance of being able to take on Port Adelaide in the final quarter. So I guess if you're thinking about staying with us, you should, because Centrals will go to the 3/4 time break, Tim, with a real sniff of victory.
They actually look like they're running on top of the ground at the moment, and some of the Port players are looking like they're sort of running into it.
And Clayton, well, Hay cleans it up. Clayton just swung off his kick. Now long. Oh, well, Manoan, it was always going to happen sooner or later. He's had a couple of big leaps, and he's taken the big one. Have a look at that. And mostly it was his own leap, wasn't it?
It's amazing, isn't he? He ended up grabbing it at a short time.
Philippo works his way to the front. Strong mark.
See, that's equally a good mark, but a body mark, wasn't it? Fantastic.
And, well, he'll have to kick from 60. Just look the tail end of that.
Well, David's seen him kick more of the football than I have. David Mackay, can he make the distance?
Look, here's a long kick. Earlier in his career, before he had a lot of soft tissue injuries, he was a prodigious kick, but inaccurate. I think since he's come to Port Adelaide, one of the things he has improved on is his accuracy. But I don't know that with all the soft tissue injuries that his distance
is that yes or no?
It's a no. It's a no. It's a definite no. All right, I can't be any more equivocal than that. And so we go to the three-quarter time break. Tim, thanks for embarrassing me. With an 18-point margin to Port Adelaide, and they are, just for the first time in this game, vulnerable.
Well, you're right. I mean, they've done all the hard work, but they've probably used up a fair bit of their energy tickets. And I just reckon at 10-10, they probably haven't got their rewards on the scoreboard that they would have liked. And to have Central's case of being, look at them, they're running in. They know that they're on top. They've got plenty of run in their legs. 18 points down, going with a slight breeze. You'd like to say that they're a fair chance.
Well, stay with us for the final term. I just suspect it's going to really heat up here at Alberton Oval. Port Adelaide at 10-10. Centrals are 8-4, the margin 18 points, but the Bulldogs are coming home with the breeze. We might just congratulate Brodie Atkinson while we've got the chance, fellas. 200 games today. After playing 98 with North, he's played 102 with Sturt. So well done, Brodie Atkinson. As we start the final term, Rick McGowan turns the ball around the corner into a little bit of space. Arnott was there. Braden Lyle just overran the ball and he got a very poor bounce. Forward he goes. John Cock was good bringing the ball down. Eilert got the kick away. It was smothered by Chris Gowans, and now Lyle heads towards the line. And, well, the umpire says yes, it's in. So Gowans drives it in. Underneath this one, Danny Stevens sits back, waits for it. Wilson, he just fended them off. It was like waterboat derby, and he just got away. Brown fights hard for it. Arnold for the Bulldogs fights. McGuinness is there for Port Adelaide, and the umpire indicates he'll have a bounce.
You just feel that the first goal in this game is probably going to determine the winner.
Look, I think if it's Central, it's on for young and old, and it's in their forward zone, and they're very, very clever hands. Chris Gowans to James Gowans was a good player. High ball into the forward line. Up and under that, Mazurowski just hoped for it.
Oh, in the background, Stevens.
It's against Clayton. He dragged Stevens out of the contest. The umpire was there and said, hey, you pinged.
Oh, let's have a look at the Academy Award category here.
Well, look, the umpire was just a couple of metres away. He was right on the spot. Now, Clayton's got... I think you might be right.
Softish.
I think you did right, Crossy. So that's an interesting one, but he sold it.
I'm saying nothing, just let the vision tell it.
And Tim Jennifer staying out of it for fear of being biased. He's got 5, and he's got 6. And Tim Jennifer says it. If Centrals get the first goal, it's on for young and old. Well, Tim, it's on for young and old.
Well, you know, I did make the comment just, you know, seconds before that the first goal would probably determine the result, but I didn't want it to come in that fashion. You just have a look, they're sort of both hanging on to each other there as Stevens goes down. Look, he's a good forward, he's an intelligent player. He knew how to make the most of it.
Yeah, they actually locked arms, and Stevens sold it.
Sold, and now the margin is 12 points. Umpire thumps it in to the ground, straight up, and Arnold goes straight up and over the top. Wait. Well, he looked like he was in front. Steed takes possession. Arnold pressures him, but Steed gets a kick to the advantage of Fraser. Just belts the ball forward. Fraser now over the ball again with Fitzner. Traps it. Stalemate. Umpire come in, bounce it.
Well, if Port answer back quickly, then you're back to sort of even Stevens. But
Kynan Ford has gone off at three-quarter time. Hamlin is on. And Fraser's come on for Port Adelaide. Tim, you might just pick up who's gone off.
O'Connor, his possession.
O'Loughlin.
Just fed out the hand pass to Waite. Waite got it forward. McArdle, he leads his man to the ball, and that was Philippo. So McArdle hands it off quickly. Steinburner got a player loose on this side of the ground. It's Hamblin. Hamblin's got runners inside. Cotter comes from a long way back, takes possession, steps around. Oh, he's in trouble. Just gets the kick away. Arnold now, he's done a power of work early, taken high, will get a free kick.
Worked his way back into the contest, and now that O'Connor's tiring, he's really getting over the top.
Momentum clearly with the Bulldogs right at this moment. McKinnon takes front position. Archie from behind thumps the ball towards the boundary line. Now that is an experienced defensive punch.
Well, it is. He's a very good defender. He's one of those guys that sort of goes unnoticed most games. It certainly does his job.
So we go down to Michael Parsons in the Port Adelaide bench.
Yes, the injured Brian Binky just got the ice on the hamstring there, sitting next to David Green, who won't need a shower, and Ricky O'Loughlin. And just to let you know, 8,696 people have rolled in to watch this local footy.
We thought this is what that game deserved. They got 10,500 Port Adelaide, didn't they, last week at Norwood. So they're going pretty well in drawing a crowd, no question about that. Arnott on the left boot, a high ball. Stevens nudged under the contest. The umpire won't be blowing his whistle this time. Rover and snapping with Slade, but he misses. And a point.
4 minutes in, and you can just tell that goal has really just swung the momentum. Centrals are making the attacks, looking the more dangerous side, kicking with a slight breeze. It's going to be hard work for Port Adelaide to score or hang on to this lead. I don't think you can defend it. It's too small.
Alfie Steedcross is out there just revving the boys. He's got his foot on the accelerator.
He has, and so has Central District at this stage. And if you've just joined us in the Northern Territory, we welcome you. 11 points the margin at the moment. There is a blood rule, I think, back in the middle of play, and that allows us to bring you up to date. Port Adelaide, the perennial favourites, I guess, in South Australian footy, leading this one by 11 points. The margin was 22 at half-time and 18 at three-quarter time, and we are 5 minutes into the final quarter, and that is Central District's ruckman Damien Arnold.
Michael Parsons is down on the boundary.
Yes, just a little bit of blood on the top lip, but I don't actually think that will hurt Central's. Arnold's been doing very well, particularly in that third quarter, but Cowan is going to come on exceptionally fresh, and I'm impressed with the way he plays. I think he'll just give Big Ryan O'Connor the runaround in this last quarter.
Port Adelaide, well, that was an ordinary kick, and it found a Port Adelaide player in Waite. He takes the mark in the defensive zone still. Steed across this side is free.
And there was no one forward for Port Adelaide. No one got back.
So Waite kicks the ball long, looking for O'Connor. Ball punched down. Centrals with the run. And they go forward again. And over the back. Slade, the smallest player of those three contesting the ball, but judged the ball best and has taken a mark 45 metres from goal.
Fitzner and McGowan were very slick getting that ball in quickly.
They were in the middle, you're right, but just a bit of inexperience on the defensive side there. John Cock got taken in under the ball with Chi when he should have been calling him back and just keeping Slade out of the contest.
Slade to reduce the margin to 5 points.
Not a good kick.
No. He's probably got too close to man the mark.
Well picked.
At 174 centimetres, he's hardly a tower of strength up there, is he, overhead?
That's surprising, though, the number of marks he does take.
I like his season, though. Today, he hasn't really got the possessions that he has in other games. 4 kicks, 5 handballs. But he is tenacious. I think he's better suited to the midfield. They're playing him in a forward pocket role, mainly. Bellows back.
I tell you, it's interesting. This is Port Adelaide, this is Alberton, and the Central's faithful are chanting.
Hey, don't worry, they have no fear here. They've actually knocked them off a couple of times in the last few years here. In fact, I think they've won, their last 4 encounters against Port Adelaide, including the qualifying final last year. 3, is it? Thanks for that, fellas. Qualifying final, they won by 73 points. Before that, 92 points and 46 points earlier this season. So they've got a great record against Port Adelaide Central. And right now they have no fear of the Fighting Magpie. They're 10 points down with the breeze at their back and coming home on a sail.
Just need a few blokes around the ball like Wilson, who's done well all day, and Brown, just to keep their work rate up. Just keep pushing the ball forward.
Well, O'Connor just gets his hand to the ball, and that advantages Port, but at the back, Hopwood cleaning up as he's done all day. Finally, they work it clear to Hamblin, and he kicks the ball forward, standing under it Waite, though. Port Adelaide now, through the handballs. Get it across to Eilert. He comes to this side of the ground, and Wilson drives them forward. Oh, should be a mark, and it is. Philippo, his man just lost him. He got behind him and took the easiest of marks, and he's kicked one already.
Well, I asked Wilson to lift, and it was him that did the kicking, and it was a very good kick to Filippo. He just saw Filippo duck back the other way after he led one way, and he kicked it straight into his path. It was very good, but some good work in the midfield. Back there, Julian Waite, O'Connor and Eilert combining to get the ball to Wilson.
Wilson, one of their best in the first half, Tim.
Yeah, I'd say he'd be one of their best for the day.
So Filippo lines it up from about 30 metres. Not much of an angle to speak of, and not much of a kick to speak of, saving except for the fact I went through the big ones.
Stephen Williams would love it.
The margin 16 points in favour of the Maggies.
And it wasn't a good-looking kick, you're right, but just today with that breeze, a lot of people have had trouble dropping it down onto their boot, but he did get enough on it to punch it out, but there was a good combination there, and as I said, Wilson's just got to keep getting the ball and finish off what has been a very good game for him, but game's far from over. It's so early in the game that anything can happen. It's only 16 points, and Centrals are still very much the spring in the step side.
11-10 to 9-6, 16 points. Can Central peel the Magpies back at Alberton Oval? Stay with us. We are 9 minutes into the final term. Poole went up early. Cowan.
Poole.
So I keep doing it. Ryan O'Connor. Braden Lyle claimed. Cowan got it out. Thanks, Tim. Arnott. Now this kid I like. Fitzner. What a speedster he is. Got plenty of toe. Drives it forward. A long one deep into the forward line. Stevens. Sold the dummy nicely. Can he get the handball over the top? He gets it away, but crash. Port Adelaide really, they're fired up now. They're defending as they've never defended before.
Again, young John Cock, just again that attack on the ball. You can't, as a defender, allow that ball to go behind you. And that, I think Port Adelaide were lucky to get away with this.
Ball back into play. Well, Slade, who was just swamped there, as he was before. Now the ball comes free. John Cock. Oh, good stuff. Good hand pass.
Vision, hasn't he?
Yep, he freed up Feagit on the far side, and Feagit wasn't satisfied there was anybody free and goes for the line.
Yeah, fair call. Fraser was in a 50-50 contest, and you're best off to reset and go again.
Damien Arnold came off with the blood rule, just a bleeding nose. He's got the Vaseline up the left nostril, and he's ready for action should the coach require.
Well, Port trying to keep things tight. O'Connor was content there to get the fist of the ball. I think we spoke earlier that O'Connor's probably a McGarry favourite at this stage.
Big guys haven't really polled well in the past, have they, in the McGarrys?
On with Tim.
But again, O'Connor just content to knock the ball over the line.
You look at history of the McGarry recently, Neil. They look at ball carriers, possession gatherers, and players who run through a line.
By the same token, he's averaging 20-odd handballs a game, and he is big. We'll see again. Opposed to Maziarowski, who just can't get around him. Feagit thumps the ball forward for Port. Bamford content to go along the line and out of bounds again, and they've worked it around towards half-back. 16 points in favour of Port Adelaide at this stage, 11 minutes into the final term.
Well, it's important that they do just keep moving that ball around the boundary, because Centrals are very quick and very slick with their hands. They're still alive, even though they probably started the game slowly. They still are very much a part of this game, but that's a great smother off the boot. I think it was Eilert.
Eilert, you're dead right, Tim. He is providing some rebound from half-back for them. Young legs.
Well, you need that, don't you?
They brought Fraser on Port Adelaide. Stephen Williams has brought Fraser onto the far wing to give him some fresh legs, and I don't think it'll be too long before Green is on, just to provide an ounce of freshness. Free kick to the Bulldogs. And it's going back to Chris Gowans. Cop one from Julian Waite. Flicks it out to Marco Bello on the left boot, drives it in towards full forward. Archie front position from behind. Stevens took the big fly. Ball comes to ground. McKinnon not quite able to get there. And the boundary umpire will throw it back in.
Plenty of time. It's a very good contest. Real struggle. I'm really enjoying it.
O'Connor thumps it down. Eilert dragged it forward. McKinnon tried to earn himself a free kick. O'Connor comes back. That second effort was good. Did pretty well, didn't he? Over the top of it, James Gowans flicks it out. Goes to the back door, O'Connor. Brown, Wilson, two of their better players. The kick was a bit ordinary, wasn't it? Arnott on the left boot, turns it around towards the goalpost. Where's Marco Bello, and what can he do? He can do nothing, because Feagit was clever. Paddled the ball towards the line, made out like he was attempting to mark, and then pushed it across the line.
Wasn't an easy one either when they're sitting up in the air for so long.
I don't think he even attempted to mark it, Feagit, did he? Like, he just made out he was going to mark and pushed it across the line.
Well, you could tell they're under pressure. And they are just going for the boundary every time, Port Adelaide, and they do it again. John Cock content to ride the bump, take it out of bounds, and that's good experience from a lad that's only played a few matches.
Not bad, is it? Just wash some time off the clock.
Ball in again. Mazurowski tried to take front position and wait. Fresh air hand pass. Bellows smothered that kick. Archie just towed it forward. Central's player coming the other way did well. In the end, Brown got the hand pass free. Gowans put Lyle under pressure. Lyle goes wide. McDowell just handballs down the line. They're working hard. Finally, McGuinness. Now they've broken it to the middle. Is that a mistake? Well, it's come to Central District. Hamblin, he did well. He put the ball to his team's advantage. Probably pretty good in the end. Now under pressure. They kick it wide. Oh, and it's just fallen again to Cotter. Handball in the air, that was lucky. Bellows' hand pass was smothered. This is on for Young and Old. Cotter goes in. The left foot around the corner from Hay. It's over the back. It'll go to the boundary. I think Port will be content to see that one over the boundary. Fegan just happy.
Great courage, Fegan.
It was, but how much good work was done in the centre there. Every player, every possession was under pressure. It was fantastic stuff to watch.
Bit of abuse from the crowd. Just adds to the occasion.
A little bit of support, wasn't it, Crossy?
I thought it was abuse.
Good.
And McKinnon claimed by O'Connor, goes across the line and out of play. We're 14 and a half minutes into the final term. 16 points the margin, and the crowd getting emotionally involved in this. Over 8,000 people, Port Adelaide, have drawn today, along with Central District, looming as great rivals. O'Connor,
superb, wasn't it?
Steed, Clayton, long ball, and it goes wide. Filippo stretches, couldn't quite get there, but that's good enough.
That's a good effort. And O'Connor, how's that for an effort? Hands and knees stuff. He is absolutely gone. Filippo's going to have to take this knock, but he wasn't looking.
Think about your best 3 or 4 players, Tim. It's going to be pretty hard today.
He's in trouble. Oh, he got the foot to the ball.
That was clever.
McGowan, who's had a very quiet day.
Alfie Steed.
Alfie Steed crashes through, went off with the blood rule in the third quarter. Howe just flicks it out. Now the runner's on from Anthony Brown. Wide it goes, and out on the lead, it's O'Loughlin. Spent some time on the interchange bench, doesn't like the attention from Hay. And what can they build here, Port Adelaide? A goal could just about finish off the game.
He has to hit Filippo.
And he's got Filippo. Punches it low. Here comes Filippo. Couldn't quite get there. McArdle was very good. Thumped it away. Bello fights hard, stays over the top of the ball. Wilson gets through traffic. Can't quite get away the handball. Now it stacks on the mill. 15 and a half minutes in the final turn. The umpire will bounce.
Yes, the crowd really starting to get involved down here. Quick interchange. O'Loughlin comes off. Phil McGuinness comes off for a rest. That's been a rotation that they've had all day.
Hey, fresh air shot. Still. Well, you won't see better than that in a game of rugby union. Just the ruck, the rolling ruck, just taken over the line.
I'll tell you what, we're 16 minutes in, and I know Port Adelaide probably looked a little bit flatter than Centrals, but they're starting to look like they're a bit fatigued as well. Eagles by 60 points, they're not fatigued.
No, top side on percentage and building that with a win at Glenelg today by the looks, or a win at Woodville Oval anyway. John Cock under pressure, taking the ground. Whoa! Well,
I reckon if we've got a replay of that sequence, I reckon Alfie Steed was thinking about kicking the ball the wrong way, but then caught himself before he let it go.
Sturt by 31 points, upsetting Norwood, and Westies had that one under control, 29 points over South Adelaide at the Richmond Oval. And here at Alberton, there's margin 16 points. We're midway through the final term, and it's an arm wrestle.
It's been an absolute beauty, hasn't it?
Ryan O'Connor will not give up the ball until the umpire takes it off him. Thumbs up from the crowd. Must be a Port supporter. Arnold takes front position. One of the few times he's been able to get around big O'Connor, but it falls to Wilson. He kicks it into space. Well, nobody wanted to take it. McArdle takes it. Hand pass. It's loose. Look out. O'Loughlin looks forward. Quick hands, slick hands. Fraser finishes it. And that could be the end for Central District.
Well, that is just a real gutsy effort to continue the work rate up against a quality side in Centrals who just want to keep pushing and keep forcing the contest. It was just some beautiful quick hands. Bamford to Fraser was a beauty, and Fraser's quick kick over the top scored what is probably going to be a match-winning goal at the 17.5-minute mark. But, you know, these sort of games, there's still time for Centrals. You can get those quick couple, really does change the momentum.
22 points the margin.
Alistair Clarkson rolling the dice. He's put Kynan Ford back on, looking for a mark at centre-half forward.
He needs something, doesn't he? And he needs it quickly. Arnold thumps it down. Clayton just mishandled it, but Alfie Steed has been very good. You'd have to suspect that he'd been their best 6 or 8 players. Fitzner, who's been very impressive in the second half, delivers it on the right boot towards half forward. Where's Danny Stevens? Just overran it. Julian Waite crashes through. Off it comes to Clayton. They're running Port Adelaide. They can finish it off here. It was Brown over the top to O'Connor. Now where do they get it from? Harwood drills it short. Bang, he's hit the target, and it's Fraser. The fresh legs of Fraser is creating a little bit of panic in the Central District defence. Chips it inboard over the head of Clayton, and Clayton just got there and marked it. From 50 into the breeze, I don't think he'll get the distance. He'll feed off. He does. And who's there? It's Alfie.
Well, I think Alfie might just struggle to get to the line. He's looking to give off already.
Well, he's just got to hold the ball and wash a bit of time off the clock when it's all said and done.
Yeah, fair enough. But then the other people get out of the keyway and allow somebody to move into it.
So he chips it in short. Oh, that was clever. That was very clever. Harwood was the thinking man's footballer then. He knew that Steve couldn't make the distance, positioned himself just 10 metres away and then dropped back quickly.
No, it was good thinking too by Alfie. Keep your vision around you. Knew that he couldn't make the distance. Just chip it off to somebody who can.
Howard's been remarkably consistent. 3 goals won the last 2 weeks. He's already got 2 goals today. Lines it up, and what's he done with it? It's a point. So he's got 2-1. He's still got time to get another one and to keep his average up.
Just pushed it a little bit too far to the right that time, didn't he? It's a good kick. Hasn't kept its line. That's how much power he's got.
23 points the margin. Central's running from defence. Hicks goes short, finds Chris Gowans. Just goes back. Now to Hicks. Well, that really wasn't a good hand pass. It put him under all sorts of pressure. The umpire opts not to give a free kick there, perhaps having a little bit of pity for Hicks, who was really sold the dump here.
It was just a little give. He had to kick it straight away virtually, didn't he?
It was a poor call by Hicks, wasn't it?
Well, the ball down again. Steed working hard. Who else? Now kick forward, just toe poke by Clayton, and just caught over the shoulder was Nathan Steinburner. The umpire plays advantage. The kick comes long, and it's not much of an advantage because they've immediately turned it over, the Bulldogs. Braden Lyle backs up.
He's doing the right thing. A lot of people were calling for it in the corridor in the centre square, but you allow the turnover there, and I just think he's got to kick down the line towards Clayton.
He does do that, and Clayton advantaged and bumped out of the way, and the umpire says that's a free kick. Mark Clayton then hit Gowans, and the umpire says, well, you know, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, but look, I don't reckon that's a bad thing. They've lost the game now, and there's another match-up coming in finals, and you just say, hey, remember me. I'll be back.
Yeah, well, there's the art of sledging. You've got to be a good sledger.
Yep, you've got to be a good sledger.
You've got to have a smart mouth on you occasionally, and perhaps that's what you can do.
Well, Tony Bamford from Port had a smart mouth on him. He was into Gowan straight away. And Mark Clayton has kicked the goal. The heads are down from Centrals, and so they should be.
That's his third, by the way.
The third goal from Mark Clayton off the half-back flank. That's not too bad, Tim.
Well, it is a good day out for him, but...
he got his first 2 goals from half-back flank, but he's gone into the midfield the second half.
Correct. Well, especially in this last term. And it's been a good move by Stephen. He needed some strength and some positivity around the centre square because O'Connor's been tiring. And when you've got blokes like Alfie Steed and Clayton in the middle, just their commitment at the football, you know you're going to get a fair few out.
South Australian footy's alive and well. A big crowd of 8,500 people at Alberton Oval have enjoyed this clash. At one stage, you would have suspected at 3/4 time that Centrals were looming as the favourites, but Port Adelaide have shown that famous grit and character, and they've worn down and humbled the Bulldogs on their home ground today. Fitzner's been very good, high amongst Central's best, probably in their best 5 or 6. Idlett's been pretty good too. You'd have to consider him amongst the best 10 for Port Adelaide. And John Cock, for an 18-year-old, has been very self-assured. Playing out of the defensive zone, he's done most of the kicking out all day, has hardly missed the target. Uses the kicks pretty well. Clayton took front position. Loose ball falls forward. Clayton hands it back and gives it away. Chris Gowan slung out of the contest by Harwood. Bello, very good. Over the top goes Arnold. Now what can they do? They just need to build Centrals and find something. James Gowans comes back into the corridor. Stevens was the target. One step. He's 60 out and closes. Goes long on the breeze. It's drifting back, but not quite enough. He's kicked 5 goals, 6 goals, 1, and 1 out of bounds on the full today in a solo performance on the forward line for the Bulldogs. And that one was that close.
Goal umpire Cam. Quite an interesting innovation. Gives us a good look at just what the goal umpire sees. And a few glum faces along that line of Central supporters. The margin 28 points in favour of Port Adelaide. And oh, that's a good mark in the pack. Feagit, he's been good today.
Very good.
Yeah, look, I had him, I actually listed him, fellas, as my 6th best for Port Adelaide. I don't know where he figures in Tim's universe because Tim's the man who counts today.
O'Connor, here's the big body. Just Chris Gowans did well there. And now they've turned the ball over. Well, McDowell heads up forward, looks for the lead. Crashing into it was Orman Allen. Clayton's kick was smothered. Centrals now. Hicks managed to get it towards the line and Cotter escorts it over.
This is the way I went, Tim, in my best players for Port Adelaide. You can say right or wrong because you're the ruling body. First I gave to Ryan O'Connor, second to James Wilson, third to Anthony Brown, fourth to Corey Archie, great defensive game, fifth to Nathan McDowell, sixth to Nigel Feagit, 7 to Alfie Steed, 8 to Braden Lyle and 9th to Julian Waite. You might disagree with me on Julian Waite.
Look, I think your top 2 I agreed with totally, and then after that you're fairly well right. And it's just been a very good effort, David, because I just felt that, you know, Centrals, even though they hadn't played well for most of the day, you still felt that they were dangerous enough to get in front. And Port Adelaide just gritted their teeth and did all the really, really hard work that was necessary to kick the important goals. And, you know, they're only 18 points up at 3/4 time, and to finish off, you know, at the moment 28 points up. That's a very, very good effort.
Did you find many good players for Central District?
That was the other thing, and you know when you're not playing well, you might, you know, we're talking about 10 at Port Adelaide, we're talking about probably 4 at Centrals at the moment.
I guess Danny Stevens with 6 goals, 1 has to be their best.
Yeah.
Marty McKinnon's played well, Damien Hicks.
Great battle with Damien Arnold.
Steinberner and young Ben Fitzner on debut has been pretty impressive.
I think you're right, but then, you know, that's not enough, is it, to win a game at Albion?
Philippe kicks the ball in, and Stevens, who was up forward, is now down back. Hopwood clears it out this side of the ground. Cotter, his first game since round 5, on the left leg, high, and the only flow well. Misjudging it, unfortunately, was Eilert. Now Central's forward again, but it just falls into the lap of Waite, and Waite comes this side of the ground. That fell through the arms and into the chest of Wilson, who comes away and maybe a bit lazily. The ball bouncing just inches, maybe centimetres, let's get metric, inside the boundary line. Just a check of around the grounds at Woodville, the Eagles easily by 65 points against the Bay. Sturt by 33 over Norwood. And Westies by 28 over South. So Westies in 5th position to stay, it seems, as the ball comes forward again. And high and leaping was John Cock, he missed it. Feagit cleans up, and then he's absolutely cleaned up by James Gowans. It's on. Look out. Well, Chris Gowans typically in to support his brother, and a little bit of chat going on. And in the dying moments of this match, it's heated up somewhat.
Hey, I like Jared Eilert. He didn't take a backward step at all, Tim.
That's pretty good for a young fella. I mean, that's high. There's no doubt about that. And it's good just to show us strength. Nothing silly. Don't turn the ball over.
David Green just walks onto the ground. He'll need a shower, and he's got a chance to get a touch.
At the 27-minute mark, I think the coach forgot about him.
There we go.
There he is in the number 32 jumper, Greenie. And there's a great story attached to that, Tim. Paul Northeast actually asked that David Green got his jumper. Oh, great work, Alfie. Oh, his knee. He's done his knee. Well, Alfie Steed's gone down clutching his knee, and he's had such horrific problems in the last couple of years with his knees. Let's hope it's not anything more serious than a jarred knee, but he looks like he's shot. Tragic news for Port Adelaide as Gowans, this is Chris Gowans, goes long and hard towards goal. He reaches out and unloads and gets a consolation goal in the dying moments of this game. But the big story is at the other end, where Alfie Steed has gone down clutching his knee, and I knew it. As soon as he went up and down, he was in trouble.
Well, it's one of those things that, you know, it doesn't look like much, but with his history, having a knee reconstruction on both, just have a look at the way he's come down. That one wobbles out. The other one goes as well. It's his left by the looks of it. Oh, he's grabbing his right. He's grabbing his right one. So he's done both, and he's recovered from both. Let's just hope it's not totally gone, because we feared the worst with Matthew Primus a few weeks ago, and he bounced back after a week. I'm just hoping that Alfie's in the same boat and doesn't miss any more than a couple of weeks.
Look, you pray to the footy gods for this kid, don't you? Because what a courageous story of coming back from 2 knee reconstructions.
And you just love watching him play. He's the sort of bloke that just gives you your value for money every week. Just have a look. It is the right.
It's interesting how the game went on then. Gowans kicked the goal, and there was such a hush that came over the crowd, because I think everybody realised what was going on. And you see Alfie Steed, I think, just explaining to the trainers what he felt happened with his knee. And that's very unfortunate. And of course, we're going to have a long delay, because they'll be very careful about taking him off.
Well, you'd want to hope that, for Alf's sake, that nothing's serious with the ligaments. You wouldn't want to recover a third time to come back. I mean, it really is hard work to recover from those. 12 months worth of work.
Ask Sean Wren, fellas, how hard it is.
Well, that's right.
He's managed just 46 games amid those couple of reconstructions. And down below us, I can tell you, the pause in play gives the crowd a chance to chat to each other. Tim?
Well, the word chat is one way of describing it, but it's fair discussion today. But look, that's probably going to mar a very good win by Port Adelaide here at Alberton today. Centrals will go away. They'll have to regroup and just have a think about it, because they haven't been good today. They know in their own minds that they haven't deserved this victory, and it's because it's been too little effort from too few. And they need everybody playing well, as they sort of had in those first sort of 6 to 8 rounds, where they were very good. And just the last sort of month hasn't been the Centrals that we've seen in the past sort of 14, 18 months.
They have got a little bit rusty over the last few weeks, haven't they? If you just go backwards from today, where they have struggled. Last week, a big loss to the Eagles. They just got in over Sturt, and then also against North Adelaide. We saw that game on TV, and North Adelaide hasn't won a game for the year until last week, and they really pushed them all the way.
Sad news for Port Adelaide. Their fans applaud it. They'll pull in the crowd there, front and centre. But Alfie Steed is the story of the afternoon, carried off on a stretcher. Courageous little Port Adelaide rover. And we hope for Port Adelaide and Alfie Steed's sake it's not another knee. But you can see that he's just covered in a towel. He's, I guess he's distressed. And why wouldn't you be? Tragedy for Port Adelaide in a costly victim in this win over Central District. They lead by 89 to 67, 22 points the margins. We go back to the centre, and it's McGuinness who carries the ball clear, goes long into the forward line. McArdle underneath this. He's been good in the second half as a defender. Phillippo couldn't get the kick away. Steinburn has been one of their best. Hopwood started well, but finished slowly. They've just been overwhelmed, and this fellow, McDowell, high amongst Port Adelaide's best for a 4-quarter effort, gives it to Phillippo, who can finish off.
Centre right, Phillippo. I've been happy with him as a key forward, and he's provided enough at centre half forward or full forward today.
Well, he's provided vigour, and he's kicked 2 goals after returns of 5 goals won against Glenelg, and 4 goals straight in that nail-biter against Norwood, where Binky kicked the winning goal on the final siren. Now, Port Adelaide are second. They're just percentage behind the Eagles. So every goal and every score counts at this stage of the season, as Phillippo lines them up at the 32-minute mark of the final term and slots it for a point.
Big build-up.
Big build-up and a big applaud for a point. Most popular point I've ever heard. But it was nearly there. Obviously, it was very close and just missed.
Just the difference, though, Tim, we're talking about how Phillippo's provided a target. It's really Conan Ford hasn't done anything at centre when he was at centre half forward. McArdle had to get taken from full forward and put into defence by Central District. So really the difference is that Port Adelaide has targets and they've moved the ball better.
I think if you can beat or break even with Central's midfield and you've got a better forward line, then you're a chance of winning.
So it's all over, a 23-point victory to Port Adelaide over Central District. They've broken the run of 3. The Bulldogs have really had the wood on them recently, and with great courage and conviction, they were in trouble, leading by only 18 points at 3-quarter time, Tim, but they have prevailed.
look, to hang on and do the work that they did and win by 23 points was a very impressive win. That's over Norwood, the Eagles and Centrals. That's their real main rivals. That's a very, very good win, and O'Connor on screen, probably the best man on the ground for his efforts all around the place, and really was a great contest. And Centrals, I tell you what, they're a good side. They started well. It's not too bad to have a bit of a mid-season slump. They'll be there come finals time, and they'll probably be one of the forces. Again, don't worry about that.